Secret formula this year has been pitching. We've got a great starting rotation and a great bullpen.
Now the Nationals must concentrate to head home with the lead.
Tyler Moore, 2-run single to right field. The Nationals dugout explodes.
Although their first flight was grounded, the Cardinals' wings are far from clipped.
Matt Holliday unloads on one.
They can tie the series by taking off from St. Louis with a win.
To win tomorrow and in a good spot.
Nationals, Cardinals, Game 2, next.
And welcome to St. Louis, and the Cardinals are going to need the continued support of their always loyal fans as we bring you to Busch Stadium for Game 2 of the National League Division Series. It was the Washington Nationals who beat the Cardinals yesterday, and the Redbirds are trying to even the series against the Washington Nationals today. NLDS on TBS, and welcome to our booth, everyone. Dick Stockton along with Bob Brenly. We'll be hearing from David Aldridge in a moment, and one of the top topics of conversation, Bob, has been the shadows. They were a factor for both teams yesterday, and as we start the game today, once again, a factor.
Well, it was fair because both teams were operating under the same conditions. Doesn't make it any easier, however. We're going to show you some shots from yesterday's ball game. This was at the start of the game when the hitters still had a legitimate chance against the opposing pitchers. As you move forward a little bit later in the afternoon, you can see the shadows are starting to approach home plate. Move on a little bit further. This next shot will be first pitch of today's ball game. Shadows are already halfway out to the mound, and then it really got interesting as the sun started to peek through some of the openings here at Busch Stadium.
And, of course, you got a chance to talk to both of the hitting coaches today.
I did. Rick Eckstein from the Nationals, also Mark McGuire from the Cardinals. They said they hesitate to address it with their players because they don't want them thinking about it. They don't want to make a tough situation any worse.
The Nationals got 2 in the 8th and won the game 3-2. What's your take on Game 1?
Well, really, for me, it's the Cardinals' missed opportunities. They had runners on base, 2 runners in the 5th. They stranded 2 more in the 6th, 2 more in the 7th, and had the leadoff man on in the 8th inning of a 1-run game. Just couldn't find a way to come up with that big base hit when they needed it most. And the main reason for that is that Nationals bullpen. They've been good all year long, and they were good again yesterday. Ryan Matthews came in the game, bases loaded, nobody out, threw 2 pitches to get out of the jam. 4 combined innings of 2-hit shutout baseball from that Nationals bullpen. They were really good yesterday.
So the Nationals take a 1-0 lead, and the Cardinals are trailing. They've been in this position before, Bob.
Well, indeed they have. All you have to do is think back to last year, Dick. They dropped Game 1 of the Division Series. They dropped Game 1 of the NLCS, but we all know how it ended up for the Cardinals last year.
All right. An impressive right-hander will be on the mound for the Nationals today in Jordan Zimmermann, and a left-hander, Jaime Garcia, gets the call for the Cardinals. And we'll be back with the starting lineup for today's Game 2 in just a moment. It's about 8 degrees higher at the start than it was yesterday. Not much of a breeze, and a great picture here of Busch Stadium as we get set to go. And for more on the Nationals starter, Jordan Zimmermann, let's go down to David Aldridge.
Well, Dick, when GM Mike Rizzo decided that come hell or high water, he was shutting down Stephen Strasburg in September, one of the reasons he was so confident in that strategy was because the Nationals had done the exact same thing last year with today's starter, Jordan Zimmermann. Zimmermann underwent Tommy John surgery in 2009 at age 23, a year older than when Strasburg had his Tommy John surgery in 2010. Just like with Strasburg, the Nationals put an innings limit on Zimmermann last year of about 160 innings, and they shut him down. But with no limitations this year, Zimmermann blossomed into one of baseball's best pitchers. He finished 4th in quality starts with 24, and he was one of the National League's best pitchers the first half of the season. Now, the ERA went up a little bit the second half, but so did the win total, Dick. He won 7 of his 9 decisions after the All-Star break.
All right, thank you very much, David. And right now, here is the Nationals batting order. Both managers going with the same lineup they did for Game 1. Jason Worth will be in right field. It'll be Bryce Harper in center field hitting second. Ryan Zimmermann at third, batting third. And Adam LaRoche, the first baseman, batting cleanup. Michael Morse will be in left field. Ian Desmond is the shortstop. Danny Espinosa at second base. Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. And Jordan Zimmermann batting ninth. And they'll be facing Jaime Garcia, 7-7 on the year, and in 20 starts had an ERA of 3.92.
You see the numbers for Jaime Garcia on the season, limited to 121 innings this year because of some injuries earlier in the year. 13-game winner in each of the last 2 seasons, a 7-7 record this year. A lot of weapons. He'll sink his fastball, he'll cut it, he throws a curve, a slider, a changeup. He'll change speeds on all of his off-speed pitches. Changeup is a plus pitch for him, and it is his out pitch. And when he's good, you should see a lot of ground balls. The infield defense will be busy.
And the first pitch to Jason Worth is down low, ball 1. So Worth, who was 1 for 5 with a single, struck out 3 times yesterday, and twice left the bases loaded with 2 outs. Uncommon for Jason Worth, who takes the ball down low again, 2-0. Solid regular season for Worth, 6th postseason appearance. And now 3-0, so Garcia falling behind to the opening hitter.
With the Nationals hitting, we'll first address Rick Eckstein and what he said about dealing with the shadows. He encouraged his hitters the same kind of approach that you would have against any good pitcher. When you're facing one of the best pitchers in the game, you have a tendency to jump at the ball. He said just approach it the same way you would if you were facing a starting pitcher you'd never seen before. Stay back, let the ball travel, don't jump out toward the mound. That really exposes the holes in your swing, and you'll make a lot of easy outs like we saw in the middle part of the ball game yesterday.
Bob, it sounds like that's the approach you use against a knuckleball pitcher.
Well, and we know against knuckleball pitchers there's a lot of different theories on how to hit it, and none of them work.
3 balls and 2 strikes after Garcia fell behind 3-0 to Jason Worth. In the playoff format this year, Cardinals home for 2 games, day off tomorrow, and then the remainder of the series would be in Washington. And Jason Worth draws a leadoff walk to start the game.
Well, they haven't been used yet, but let's take a look at the Cardinals defense in the game here this afternoon. 4th fewest errors in the National League. It'll be Holiday, Jay, and Beltran left to right across the outfield. David Freese at third, Pete Cosma at short, Daniel Descalso over at second, Alan Craig at first base. The undeniable leader of this Cardinals ball club behind the plate, Yadier Molina, with his 4 gold gloves, and he'll be receiving pitches from left-hander Jaime Garcia.
Bryce Harper coming up with 1 man on at first base and none out. So here is Harper, who struck out twice yesterday, 0 for 5. Robbed of a hit by Descalso on a ground ball to the right side, and he fouls off the first pitch for a strike. So a good blend of veterans on this team and homegrown talent, and you're looking at one of the best that really serving a foundation for this club, 19-year-old Bryce Harper.
And apparently the Nationals makeup artist took the day off. Bryce Harper got a little creative there with the eye black, something he used to do at the College of Southern Nevada.
Looked like he's getting set for a role on the Broadway stage with that makeup.
Or maybe the band Kiss is going to add a fifth member.
Well, this is quite a look for the teenager right now. He'll turn 20 in 8 days. Count 1 ball and 1 strike to Harper with Ryan Zimmermann on deck. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the center fielder. There is Zimmermann, who's waiting on deck.
Looked to be a cut fastball down in the dirt. Maybe Harper doing a little bit of that jumping that his hitting coach recommended against. Bryce Harper is a little bit of a front foot hitter to begin with, but really has to focus on staying back, try to see the ball as best you can before committing that bat.
And the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Talking about Garcia's injury problems. It was a midseason trip to the disabled list with a left shoulder strain for Jaime Garcia, but he hit his stride in the beginning of September on when he had a 4-1 record in his last 6 starts. So the Cardinals like the fact that he finished strong. There you see the rough middle at 1-5 and an ERA of over 5. But he settled down. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Harper.
Even with the tough conditions, I don't anticipate either one of these managers going away from their regular season game plan. We talked about Davey Johnson, very much a disciple of Earl Weaver's school of offense. 3-run homers.
Lifted foul out of play. Actually, he did bunt yesterday with Espinosa with a very important sacrifice. And even after the game, Davey Johnson said, look, I just don't like to bunt. I like the Earl Weaver story, which is what you're talking about. And he played for Earl with the Orioles.
Pitching, defense, and 3-run homers. Pretty tough formula to beat if you've got guys that can hit 3-run homers. And the Nationals have a bunch of them in this lineup.
They had 4 guys that hit 20 or more home runs. Second in the league in that department. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Worth with the lead at first. And an off-speed breaking ball is up high. And so Garcia going to the full count to the first 2 hitters. Garcia, 26 years old, was born in Reynosa, Mexico, and then went to high school in Mission, Texas, where he lives in that area now. And Harper strikes out for the 3rd time in the series. 1 away, 1 on, and Ryan Zimmermann will come to the plate.
Well, that's one of the reasons Davey hesitates to start runners at first base with some of the hitters in this Nationals lineup. They're very much a group of free swingers. They rarely cut down with 2 strikes, and always a risk of running into a strike him out, throw him out double play. So Worth holding his ground over there at first base as Harper goes down on strikes.
So here's Ryan Zimmermann. And he had 1 hit in 5 trips yesterday. Also struck out twice. And that's a familiar tone because Adam Wainwright struck out 10 batters. First pitch, a strike on the outside edge. Solid season with 25 homers and 95 runs batted in. Slowly hit to the left side. Freeze. 1 play over to first base to get Zimmermann as Jason Worth moves to second. So there are 2 out, and the Nationals have a runner in scoring position as Adam LaRoche, their cleanup hitter, steps in. So here is LaRoche, who had a career high 33 home runs this year. 0 for 4 after drawing a walk and scoring a run for the Nationals in the second.
LaRoche 1 for 8 during the regular season against Jaime Garcia. A number of these Nationals hitters had real good success against Garcia during the regular season. Adam LaRoche not one of them.
And the pitch is inside. 1-0. In fact, the next 3 hitters had some success. Morse, Desmond, and Espinosa in the regular year, as did Jason Worth, who's right now on at second. working LaRoche in tight, but falling behind 2-0 is Garcia, who gave up 6 earned runs, matching a season high in his only start against the Nationals at the end of August. Two and one.
Dick, one thing that will set Jaime Garcia apart from some other left-handed pitchers in the game is he will throw his changeup to left-handed hitters. A lot of left-handed pitchers hesitate to do that because a lot of times it ends up in that down and in territory, which is always a dangerous area to a left-handed hitter. But Garcia has ultimate confidence in that straight change.
And he took something off the pitch right there on the curveball, and LaRoche swings and misses, and now 2-2 to the first baseman.
I mentioned he's got a variety of weapons at his disposal. That's the big over-the-top curveball, sweeping almost right at the right shoulder of LaRoche and then dropping down over the plate.
The white towels are out here amongst the red-clad fans here in St. Louis, and just missing outside. And Garcia wanted that one, and the count runs full.
Not a strike, but a really good pitch. That hard slider just on the edge of the strike zone. Actually, that's a cut fastball. Occasionally I confuse those two because the velocity is very similar at times, but that was the hard cutter just off of the outside corner. Good pitcher's pitch.
So a 3-2 count for the third time in this first inning. Check swing, and it's ball 4 as home plate umpire Marvin Hudson checked with Alfonso Marquez at third. And LaRoche draws the walk. So now the Nationals have runners at first and second.
Another good take on another cutter. That one down low and out of the strike zone. Ooh. Looks like the Nationals may have gotten away with one right there. That bat got quite a distance out in front of home plate. But LaRoche takes his base nonetheless.
Well, if nothing else, they're making Garcia work. He has thrown 22 pitches thus far here in this first inning, and now facing the left fielder Michael Morse. So Worth, who drew a walk and advanced on the ground out. LaRoche the runner at first, and 2 on here, and the first pitch, ball 1 to Morse, who had a single and also reached on an error in the game 1 yesterday. Fastball grounded to Descalso, who will make the throw to first. Descalso throws out Morse, and that ends it. The Nationals lead 2. No score. Cardinals coming up. Jay leading off, followed by Carlos Beltran. Matt Holliday in the number 3 spot. Alan Craig batting cleanup. Yadier Molina 5th. David Freese in the 6th slot, followed by Daniel Descalso, Pete Kozma, and Jaime Garcia. The pitcher batting 9th against Jordan Zimmermann, 12 and 8, and the 7th best earned run average in the National League at 2.94.
Yeah, he's one of the best right-handers that nobody knows about in the National League. Put up stellar numbers all season long. You see the 195 and 2/3 innings pitched. Just 2.5 years removed from Tommy John surgery. He throws a really good fastball. He'll sink it. He'll cut it. Curveball, a slider. The cutter and the sinker are by far his bread and butter pitch. He can put X's on both corners of the plate when he's on top of his game. And much like Jaime Garcia, when he is on top of his game, you should see a lot of ground balls.
And John Jay stepping in to start it off for the Cardinals in the 1st inning. And takes a strike on the outside corner. You can see that the shadows, the first set of them, are right beyond the mound, but then there's another sun splash right in front of the plate. Big cut and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Jay, who drove in a run with a sacrifice fly, reached on an error, and also walked and had a stolen base, and there's the way it looks out there. 0-2.
In my conversation with Mark McGuire, the Cardinals hitting coach, about Jordan Zimmermann, he said under normal conditions we would be very aggressive. Zimmermann likes to throw strike one. He's around the plate a lot early in the count. Now granted, a very quality pitch is a good tailing, sinking fastball, a hard cut fastball, but he likes to throw strike one, jump ahead in the count, put the batter immediately on the defensive.
For what it's worth, we told you about his impressive ERA, but he has the worst career earned run average against any team when he faces the Cardinals in 25 and 2/3 innings in 5 starts, 9.12. We'll see if that holds up. And strike 3 on the outside corner. And John Jay goes down. 1 away in the Cardinal 1st.
Jordan Zimmermann didn't need anybody but his catcher that time, but here's how the Nationals will line it up defensively. Michael Morse in left, Bryce Harper in center, Jason Worth over in right field. Ryan Zimmermann, a Gold Glove winner back in 09 at third base. Ian Desmond and Danny Espinosa make up the double play combo up the middle. Adam LaRoche over at first base. Kurt Suzuki, a big addition to this Nationals team, will be behind the plate for right-hander Jordan Zimmermann.
And Carlos Beltran takes a strike. And how busy was Suzuki last afternoon, digging pitches out from Gio Gonzalez. A line shot foul. And no balls and 2 strikes to Beltran, who had a walk and a base hit yesterday. Bob, we talked about the shadows. How much at this starting time did the sun affect the game?
Well, in the outfield, obviously, it affects it greatly. You can see from the shadows behind the outfielders as they take their position out there. Yeah, right now, Bryce Harper is the guy that's going to have to deal with it more than anybody else. But as the game progresses, as we know, the sun doesn't actually move, but we move around the sun, and that will cause it to shift to right field.
That's how it works.
I think so.
2-2 pitch, roll to Espinosa. And Beltran is retired, so quickly there are 2 out for the Cardinals in the 1st inning, and Matt Holliday, the left fielder, coming up.
I'll tell you, Dick, it'll change your wardrobe as well. Adam LaRoche throwing ground balls around between innings to his own infielders, but he's standing in the shade, decides, it's a little too dark. I better take my shades off so I can see those throws from my infielders.
LaRoche has done a terrific job with some very tricky throws from his infielders this year, and we saw it yesterday, digging some out. Ryan Zimmermann, which has been a kind of a story with his throws from third base, as Matt Holliday fouls off the first pitch for a strike.
All the respect in the world for Ryan Zimmermann, playing through a real gimpy right shoulder. He's had several shots of cortisone over the course of the season just to stay on the field and be able to help his team. He's going to have a minor procedure after the season to clean up some debris in that right shoulder, but in the meantime, he just has to deal with it.
1-1 to Matt Holliday, who reached yesterday by virtue of a walk and was hit by a pitch.
I almost kind of like that term, debris. What is it, bottle caps and broken glass? What's in there?
And it ends with an S, and you don't even pronounce it. There's a one hopper hit to Espinosa, and throws out Holiday. 1-2-3 inning for Jordan Zimmermann after one no score. And we move to the top of the second inning and play TBS Social Dugout presented by Samsung Galaxies 3. Predict the plays before they happen, score points, compete against your friends, and earn rewards. Download the app by visiting tbs.com/social dugout. Second inning, and Ian Desmond will lead off for the Nationals. He had 3 hits yesterday. And if it weren't for Tyler Moore's 2-run single, drove in the winning run, he might have been the offensive leader of this game. And he starts it off with a base hit. So 4 for 5 thus far in the series for Desmond.
Well, it kind of figures, Dick. Ian Desmond is a guy that doesn't try to overpower the ball. He has a very short, quick swing, lets the ball travel quite a bit before committing to his swing. And those are the kind of hitters that are going to have success under these conditions until eventually the sun goes away and the lights take full effect.
Third full season as the Nats shortstop, made the All-Star team this year. And so Jaime Garcia, who retired the Nationals with 2 men on base in the first inning, facing Danny Espinosa, the switch hitting second baseman. Espinosa yesterday struck out 3 times and then executed a perfect sacrifice bunt, which set up the game-winning hit, advancing runners to second and third in the 8th inning. We're in St. Louis at Busch Stadium in Game 2 of the NLDS between the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Dick Stockton, Bob Brenly, and David Aldridge. The Cardinals trying to come back after the Nationals won yesterday 3-2 in the first game. Jaime Garcia and Jordan Zimmermann the starting pitchers, and Garcia's pitch to Danny Esposito misses 1-0.
We talked about it in yesterday's game, Dick. Davey Johnson doesn't like to run a lot. He doesn't like to hit and run. He doesn't like to bunt. But when he does do those kinds of things, it's usually here at the bottom of the order. Starting with Ian Desmond, Danny Espinosa, Kurt Suzuki, the guys down there at the bottom. Good speed on the base in Ian Desmond. 21 stolen bases on the season. Good speed at the plate in Danny Espinosa, who stole 20 of his own.
Davey Johnson certainly old school in many ways. The runner at first base is Desmond. And the count 2-0. So Garcia has fallen behind to most of the hitters so far in the early going. Going to the full count on several. And now falls behind 3-0 to Espinosa. On deck will be Kurt Suzuki. Checking with Bo Porter, the third base coach. And Desmond and Espinosa, the only middle infield tandem with 20 home runs or more and 15 or more stolen bases. There's a strike, and it's 3-1 to the second baseman. Mentioned that Espinosa struck out 3 times yesterday. Not much of a surprise since he led the National League with 189 strikeouts. Widening his lead is Desmond, and looked back by Garcia. Not a running team, but as you mentioned, Desmond with 21 stolen bases. And a foul out of play, so after falling behind, it is now 3 balls and 2 strikes to Espinosa.
Well, if we do see the Nationals run, this could possibly be the situation. A full count on the hitter at the plate. Even though Espinosa strikes out quite a bit, a lower percentage of strikeouts per at bat from the right side of the plate than from the left side.
4th time that Garcia's gone to the full count and misses ball 4, and that is the 3rd walk. And the Nationals have a threat going with runners at first and second and nobody out here in the second inning. And Kurt Suzuki coming to the plate. So here is Suzuki, who knocked in a run with a base hit, also walked yesterday. And has been a big plus for Davey Johnson since his acquisition from the Oakland A's early in August. Desmond at second, Espinosa at first. Good speed on the base paths. Curveball for strike 1. Just a bit low. 1-1 now.
One of the rare times you'll see Yadier Molina get fooled by a pitch a little bit. Normally he's very good at catching borderline pitches and pushing them back toward the middle of the strike zone to make them look good. That time he might have had some visibility issues. Kind of boxed that ball out of the zone momentarily before pulling it back up to the corner.
Two balls and a strike. And Garcia missing with 2 pitches, but not by much.
And obviously the shadows are most taxing on the guy with a bat in his hand. He's supposed to try to hit the ball coming up there, but it's equally tough on the catcher and the umpire as well. That ball flashing on its way to the plate and then back into the shadows once again right before it gets into the hitting zone. Very tough to see for everybody.
And chasing that fastball and missing it is Suzuki. 2 balls and 2 strikes with the pitcher Jordan Zimmermann waiting to hit. Nationals with runners at first and second, nobody out in the second. They had 2 runners on in the first inning. And time called. Desmond with the lead at second. Espinosa at first. And another full count. That's 5 times here in the first 2 innings that Garcia has gone to the 3-2 count.
A lot more patience in the early going today by this Nationals lineup. Yesterday they were forced to be patient, but today they're really eyeballing. Even when they fall behind in the count, they're not offering at borderline pitches, really making Garcia work.
And he has already thrown 36 pitches. Yesterday Gonzalez threw 37 in the second inning alone.
Quick meeting on the mound between second baseman Daniel Descalso, Jaime Garcia, and Yadier Molina. The runner Ian Desmond's been out there at second base and has had an opportunity to see a lot of pitches and a lot of signals from Yadier Molina. Cardinals may have changed up their signs right there.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. And strike 3. And Suzuki goes down. So getting the strikeout when he's needed it. He gets Suzuki for out number 1. And Jordan Zimmermann, the pitcher, coming up.
Chases a pitch out of the strike zone. You'll find a lot of very good hitters swinging at pitches that they wouldn't normally chase, especially in those 2-strike counts, just because you feel like you have to commit to the pitch whether you can see it or not. Jordan Zimmermann handles the bat pretty well for a pitcher. Hit 193 during the regular season. Only struck out 13 times in 57 at bats. Very good numbers, but could be bunting right here. One of the few times you'll see Davey put on a bunt. No, he does.
Swings and loops a ball out to right field. It'll be a base hit. They're going to hold the runner at third. He comes home anyway and scores. Bo Porter held Ian Desmond, and he went right through the sign by the third base coach and dives in for the first run of the game as Jordan Zimmermann drives in his 5th run of the game. Runners at first and second, 1-0.
A little butcher boy play. Showed bunt, then pulled it back and blooped that ball into shallow right field. Desmond got a pretty good read at second base. Very few teams run on Carlos Beltran in right field, but Ian Desmond took a chance, ran through the stop sign, and scores without a play at home plate. Very aggressive, very dangerous, but it puts him on the board first.
And Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach for the Cardinals, out to the mound to talk to Jaime Garcia. So the Washington Nationals, as they did yesterday, getting a run in the second inning to take the lead.
You know, Dick, a lot of times an outfielder that has a really good arm gets surprised when people run on him. Look at the number of steps that Beltran takes before he finally realizes Desmond's going to try to score. That extra 4 or 5 steps that he took, if he unloads the ball immediately, Desmond either runs into an easy out at home plate or he has to stop and try to make it back to third base.
Beltran had 10 outfield assists this year, good enough for 5th in the National League. So runners at first and second, and the off-speed pitch is a strike to Jason Worth, who walked last inning, the first inning.
And for me, that's a fundamental breakdown. What's the point in holding the ball out in right field? Where do you want the ball to be? You want it back in the infield, preferably at home plate, so get rid of it quickly. Stop that runner at third base and give your team a chance to get out of the inning.
And Garcia struggling here. And the bullpen starts to stir for the Cardinals. And they're going to get some early activity up there. The count to Worth is 1 ball and 1 strike. Run in on an RBI single by the pitcher Jordan Zimmermann. And Worth swings and misses and a count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Lance Lynn, who came in after Adam Wainwright in the 6th inning yesterday and worked a third of an inning, starts to throw. 1-2 to Worth with 1 out, 2 on. And a foul ball down the third baseline. So the runners will go back. Espinoza to second and Zimmermann to first. And in the relatively chilly temperatures, as we started the game at 58 degrees, Jordan Zimmermann wearing the jacket as pitchers do when they're on the base paths. Trent Jewett is the first base coach for Washington. 1-2 pitch in the air to left field. Holiday going over and makes the catch for the second out. Had to drift over to left center field to make the play. Worth is retired for out number 2. Runners go back to second and first, and Bryce Harper will come up for the second time.
Solid contact that time by Jason Worth. He hit 282 during the regular season when he had 2 strikes. That's just a remarkable number for Jason Worth. Hits this ball hard to left field, but Matt Holliday able to make the catch. You know, Dick, you pointed out Trent Jewett, the first base coach, as well as Bo Porter, the third base coach for the Nationals. They become important guys in this series because Yadier Molina loves to pick to the bases to bail his pitcher out of a jam. Especially with a pitcher running at first base. He's going to need all the help he can get from Trent Jewett down there.
Bryce Harper struck out in the first inning. Takes a pitch on the inside corner. Strike 1. Mentioned Marvin Hudson calling balls and strikes. Joe West is at first, the crew chief. Jim Joyce and Alfonso Marquez around the bases. Ed Hickox is in left field, and Paul Emmel, who was behind the plate yesterday, is in right field. Manning the right field line. 0-1 pitch. Well, out in front of that one, and Garcia, trying to pitch out of a jam, is ahead of Harper, 2 strikes.
I think the general plan of attack against young Bryce Harper this season by National League pitchers was soft is better than hard. If you can throw slower breaking pitches, if you can throw change-ups, this young man can hit a fastball. He can hit anybody's fastball.
Espinosa with the lead at second. Zimmermann on at first. 1 run in. And it's down low. No advance as Espinosa goes back to second. Bryce Harper's numbers when there are 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. He's knocked in 10 runs. Sort of a late swing on that. Looked like he was fooled at the plate, was Harper.
Big sweeping breaking ball that time, and as I mentioned, he's having a little trouble staying back, letting the ball get to him. He wants to go out and attack the baseball. You saw how all his weight shifted out to the front side right there. That time he did keep his hands back enough just to get a piece of that curveball.
Missing away is Garcia, and the count 2-2 to Bryce Harper. Lance Lynn has been up in the Cardinal bullpen, and the 49th pitch is upcoming from Jaime Garcia here in the second inning. And time called, so once again Molina and Garcia will talk things over, and it seems that the Washington Nationals have had a man at second since the game has begun here.
Well, and that's always a concern for a catcher when you flash those signs. Even if the runner from second, in the case of Ian Desmond, came around to score, he may have passed word up and down the dugout. Hey, here's what they're using with the runner at second base, and word gets around, and I think it's very wise for a pitcher and a catcher to change the signs frequently throughout the game.
2-2 pitch, and another foul ball at the plate. Garcia trying to keep the Nationals to just 1 run here in the second inning.
And whenever the offseason starts for Yadier Molina, he's got another bruise to take with him. Oh, foul right up the left forearm, caught him at the wrist, just kind of skidded up the forearm right there. Ouch.
Again, the 2-2. And again, a foul ball. When you caught, how much more padding do the catchers have, and how different is it than when you play?
Well, it's different kind of padding too. You know, different materials, much lighter. You see that chest protector that Yadier Molina is wearing. It's probably only 3/4 of an inch thick, but it provides a lot more padding than the old ones we used to wear that were very thick, stuffed with cotton or whatever it was stuffed with. The shin guard's much more flexible, a lot more coverage, and the masks are much, much lighter.
8th pitch upcoming to Bryce Harper, staying alive at 2-2, and he strikes out to end the inning. So Garcia strikes out 2. Ian Desmond with the leadoff single comes across on Jordan Zimmermann's base hit, and it's 1-0 Washington in the middle of the second. The Nationals lead the Cardinals 1-0, and watch bonus camera angles for the division series and ALCS games with postseason.tv. Get started now at MLB.com. Well, it was an 18-minute inning for the Nationals, and Jordan Zimmermann was on the base paths for a lot of it. Of course, he drove in the run to give Washington the lead, and will be facing the cleanup hitter Alan Craig here in the bottom of the second inning. Craig will be followed by Yadier Molina and David Freese. First pitch, ball one. It was Craig who was up with the bases loaded, nobody out in the seventh inning against Ryan Matthews, and hit one sharply at Ian Desmond and to force it home. And then the double play ended the big threat for the Cardinals in the seventh.
That was an interesting play because the Nationals were not playing at double play depth, but they weren't playing all the way in. They were kind of in that in-between area, and it was up to Ian Desmond to determine, was the ball hit hard enough to get the out at home plate, or was it hit slowly enough that they needed to just try to turn two up the middle. Desmond made a great decision and a great throw to get the force at home.
2 balls and 1 strike. Two and 2 as Craig fouls it off to the right. Craig 0 for 4 in yesterday's game. Coming off a big year, was 6th in the National League with a .307 mark. Hit 22 homers, drove in 92. In fact, the Cardinals had 5 players in their lineup who hit 20 or more home runs. Fouled away again. Sharply hit off the glove of Ryan Zimmermann, and Craig is going to reach. Hard hit ball that Zimmermann could not handle, and it's going to be a base hit. Hard hit by Craig, and the Cardinals, with a base hit, have their first base run.
Well, there have been so few hard hit balls already in the first game plus of this series. Zimmermann with a nice effort. All he had time to do was lean to his right, try to pick that ball cleanly, but it was hit so hard it just rips right through his glove. And that'll go as an infield base hit for Alan Craig. A little excitement in the Cardinals bench right there. They've had very little to cheer about in the early going today.
Well, yesterday we had 11 hits in all in the game. No extra base hits. And here is Yadier Molina, who was 0 for 3, walked and scored on a wild pitch. He bounced into that double play that ended the big chance, but he delivers with a base hit to center field. Craig rounds third, will get to round second, gets to third easily, and Molina with a base hit, and that's what Mike Matheny's looking for. Craig and Molina coming alive, and runners at first and third, nobody out.
Well, as Craig and Molina go, so goes the Cardinals offense, and you see Yadier Molina attacking that first pitch. I mentioned Mark McGwire said that's normally the MO against Zimmermann. During the regular season, he allowed a .390 opponent's batting average on the first pitch. Yadier Molina picking on that first delivery, little soft liner into right center, putting Cardinals at the corners.
And David Freese, who had 2 hits yesterday and reached on an error. An opportunity for the Cardinals. Yesterday they answered the 1 run for Washington with 2 of their own in the second. Nobody out, runners at the corners, and ball 1 to Freese. Alan Craig is at third, Yadier Molina at first. Two balls and no strikes. As you mentioned at the outset, Bob, the Cardinals were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position in game 1.
Now, this is a good time out here by Ian Desmond. Most of the time it's the catcher. Occasionally it'll be the pitching coach. But in this case, it's Ian Desmond, the shortstop, that takes the time to come into the mound. Just let Zimmermann catch his breath out there a little bit. Maybe heart racing a little bit now with runners at the corner and nobody out. And now let's go back to work.
Zimmermann behind Freese, 2 balls and no strikes, and now it is 3-0 to Freese, and 1 pitch away from loading the bases for Daniel Descalso. There he is. '26-year-old Jordan Zimmermann from Wisconsin, and there's the strike, 3-1. Zimmermann from Auburndale, Wisconsin, population 750. So you'd think everyone knows everyone else.
I would think so. 749 since he's here now.
Unless someone moved in today. Yeah. Here's the 3-1 pitch in the air. It's going to score a run at least. This ball is going to be off the wall. Jason Worth off the base of the wall. Scoring is Craig. And Molina will go to third base on the double by David Freese. Molina had to hold up a little bit just in case Worth had a chance to catch that ball, but the Cardinals finally get a hit with the runners in scoring position, score a run to tie it up.
Obviously the hard hit grounder to third to start the inning, but notice where the last 2 base hits have gone, to the opposite field. That's when the Cardinals offense is at their best. Driving the ball to the opposite field, this time over the head of Jason Worth off the base of the wall out there in front of the Cardinals bullpen. Nice backup by Bryce Harper to get it back in quickly and hold Molina at third base.
So that is the first extra base hit in this series after 15 singles. And it comes here in the Cardinals' second inning. Daniel Descalso, who was 0 for 2 yesterday with a walk and a sacrifice, looking at ball 1 inside. Jordan Zimmermann, by the way, is pitching after more than a week of rest. Cardinals with runners at second and third. 1-1 now. In for the strike. Ball and a strike to the Cardinals second baseman, with shortstop Pete Kozma on deck. There you see Molina at third base. David Freese at second. Freese with the RBI. Ground ball, base hit to right field. They're going to hold Freese at third. Molina will score. And the ball getting away in the infield, but no one further advance. And the Cardinals take a 2-1 lead on Daniel Descalso's RBI single. They have runners at first and third, still nobody out.
Steve McCanny with a trip to the mound just to try to slow down the Cardinals' momentum. Descalso gets around on a curveball, finds that hole on the right side of the field. Well, this is what the Cardinals can do. They're very much a team of momentum. Once it gets started, they seem to all feed off of it. They've just had problems getting it started.
And Steve McCanny, the Nationals pitching coach, out to the mound. Cardinals second in hitting in the league and first in on-base percentage. And just as the scenario yesterday, the Nationals scored a run in the second. Cardinals came back with 2. It stayed that way until the Nationals got the 2 in the 8th to win it. Of course, the Cardinals not through here yet in the second. And McCanny going back to the dugout after discussing things with Jordan Zimmermann. And Pete Kozma coming up, the number 8 hitter today for the Cardinals. Kozma walked, was hit by a pitch in yesterday's game. The Cardinals, to a man, expressed great support for him despite that error that opened the floodgates in the 8th inning for Washington. Getting back is Descalso.
That is one of those situations in years past. The Cardinals really like this first and third with the guy at the plate that can handle the bat. Might try a safety squeeze, a suicide squeeze, could be a straight sacrifice bunt. Even though the pitcher's on deck, Jaime Garcia swings the bat well in that 9 spot. No sign of a bunt there. Good rip by Kozma that time. There's the error in the ball game yesterday. Kind of a routine play, hit off the heel of his glove, came up, hit him in the face. He's been really good for the Cardinals, filling in, however, for Rafael Furcal. He's done it with the bat, he's done it with the glove.
And they were delighted that they finally got some stability at the shortstop position. As Kozma takes the ball, 1-1. All started with Alan Craig with a hard hit ball off the glove of Ryan Zimmermann, an infield hit. Yadier Molina followed with a base hit, and then the double by Freese, knocking in a run, and then Descalso with an RBI single. So 4 straight hits for the Cardinals, and this one is popped out of play. So right now let's check in with David Aldridge.
Well, guys, you know, when Rafael Furcal went on the DL, Pete Kozma came up from Memphis at the end of August, and David Freese said when he came up he saw a calmness to Kozma. He said Kozma looked him in the eye and said he's just going to try to keep it simple from now on, and he's really solidified them at shortstop when they needed it, Dick.
And he started the last 18 games at that position, David. Fastball, fouling it back, and the count still 1-2. And nobody out. 4 straight hits, including the first extra base hit of the series, and the Cardinals taking a 2-1 lead. Swing and a miss on a breaking pitch. Tough pitch for Zimmermann. Strike 3.
Well, you know you're in the postseason.
Pinch hitter.
When the manager pulls the plug on a starting pitcher in the second inning. Jaime Garcia is going to be taken down for a pinch hitter. It appears to be Skip Schumacher swinging a bat in the on-deck circle.
It is. Skip Schumacher, who struck out yesterday in a pinch hitting role, will come up and bat for Garcia. Lance Lynn had been throwing early in the bullpen and is up again throwing. So the Cardinals not taking any chances here, not liking what they see from Garcia, and a chance perhaps for getting some more runs to add on to their 2-1 lead.
Well, I think the fact that Garcia struggled as much as he did in his 2 innings of work under very tough conditions to hit. Nationals appeared to be seeing his pitches, laying off the borderline pitches, getting good swings at pitches in the zone. I think that was part of the determining factor for Mike Matheny to pull the plug this early in the ball game.
So Schumacher 5 for 26 as a pinch hitter this year with 3 runs batted in. You mentioned yesterday how his playing time has lessened, but he has remained a professional, and Mike Matheny very impressed with his attitude. First pitch, a strike to Schumacher. Lays off the pitch well high, and it's 1-1. David Freese at third base, and Daniel Descalso at first. Freese with an RBI double, Descalso with a single. And 3 of the 4 hits this inning have been to right or right center for the Cardinals. Out of play, 1-2.
You know, you look back to the early part of the season, probably up until the All-Star break, the Cardinals were pretty much like the Cardinals under Tony La Russa. A lot of very versatile players that Mike Matheny mixed and matched and moved guys around, and it didn't matter who started the game. If you were on the bench, there's a good chance you were going to get into the game at some point. But down the stretch, when every game was so vitally important, he settled on a regular lineup, and Schumacher and Matt Carpenter were the 2 guys that struggled because of it. They didn't get the regular at-bats.
Cardinals got off to a good start this year. In fact, they were 16-8 and had a 4.5 game lead early May in the NL Central. Then they dipped to the 500 mark in early June, and they never fell below the 500 mark. And of course, the Nationals didn't either in having the best record in the league. So first year manager Mike Matheny at age 42. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Schumacher battling at the plate. In fact, Bob, we have the greatest contrast we've ever had with managers, the oldest at 69 and the youngest at 42 managing the same game. Runners at first and third, 1 out. Cardinals with 2 runs in. Count is 2-2.
And obviously each manager with his own style, but I think the players for both teams have responded very well to the differing styles. Davey Johnson with a wealth of experience. He's seen just about everything there is to see in this game, especially in the postseason. And for Mike Matheny, even though it's his first year as a manager, he immediately commanded the respect of his team, and they played very hard for him.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, grounded, knocked down by Desmond. The throw to first base in time for the out. A run will score. Great play by Ian Desmond to save a base hit, and he gets Schumacher, but Schumacher will get the RBI as Freese comes across. Descalso goes to third, and the Cardinals now lead 3-1.
Once again, Cardinals trying to go to the opposite field. Desmond keeps it out of left. Boy, what a great off-balance throw. Couldn't get much on it, but has enough arm to get Schumacher at first base as Freese scored the 3rd run of the game for the Cardinals.
So there are 2 out. Descalso with the lead at second, and here is John Jay. Took a called 3rd strike in the 1st inning. First pitch outside, ball 1. So the Cardinals, who trailing 1-0 in this series and trailing 1-0 coming into the bottom of the 2nd inning, getting a couple of runs and then going to the bench for a pinch hitter is Mike Matheny. There's a shot, base hit, left field. Descalso will come around and score the 4th run. Throw to second base in time for the out is John Jay, trying to stretch the single into a double, but the damage is done, and the Cardinals get 4 runs on 5 hits. There is Morse with the throw, and the tag put on by Espinoza. He had 6 relief appearances during the year. Comes in early here in the 3rd inning, facing Ryan Zimmermann, and the Cardinals in front 4-1. And the first pitch is inside, ball 1. Zimmermann bounced to third his first time up. So Jaime Garcia, who gave up a run on 2 hits, walked 3 and struck out 3, gives way to Lance Lynn. And the count 1-1 to Zimmermann.
Well, the toughest decisions a manager has to make in the postseason is when to pull the plug on your starting pitcher. During the regular season, many times you'll show confidence. You'll send him back out there hoping he'll settle in. Down 1-0. The Cardinals really don't have that luxury. And apparently Mike Matheny didn't like what he was seeing from Jaime Garcia. And that's why Lance Lynn is in the bullpen for this series.
And the earliest he's come out of the bullpen, it had been the 6th inning, but now appearing in the 3rd inning as Zimmermann fouls it off. And yesterday, Lynn making an appearance, struck out Jason Worth in the 6th inning to end an uprising by the Nationals. Two balls and 2 strikes to the leadoff hitter. The 3, 4, 5 hitters facing Lynn and the Cardinals, who now lead by 3 runs and an off-speed breaking ball, strike 3, and Zimmermann goes down for the first out. And David Aldrich, I guess Lance Lynn has a buddy on the Nationals, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Lance Lynn and the Nationals' Drew Storen have been watching each other pitch since well before either got to the majors. They were teammates in 2005 at Brownsburg High School in Indiana. The Bulldogs went 35-0 that season, finished ranked 2nd in the country. They were the 2 stars, obviously, even though Storen only weighed about 130 pounds at the time. One would pitch and the other would play first base, and the next game they would switch. And Storen says that Lynn was about the same size as he is now, would hit balls out of the stadiums as well as blowing hitters away, Dick.
So a contrast in size, among other things, with Drew Storen. Swing and a miss by LaRoche, and the count, no balls and 2 strikes to Adam LaRoche, who walked in the 1st inning. Lynn went to Ole Miss, and Storen went out to Palo Alto to attend Stanford.
How'd you like to be that high school coach the first day of tryouts, and you see Lance Lynn and Drew Storen? Ooh.
David Freese throws out LaRoche for the 2nd out. You can just feel the energy, not only in the crowd, but from the Cardinals here, since they came back from that 1-0 deficit with the 4-run uprising.
I mentioned the word momentum earlier in the game, Dick. It's such a big part of the game of baseball. When you feel better and you feel like you're doing some of the things that you set out to do before the game started, and naturally you're going to have a little hop in your step, a little more energy, a little more alertness defensively. And I think that bottom half of the 2nd inning kind of woke up not only the Cardinal fans, but some of the Cardinal players.
Breaking ball and a strike to Michael Morse, who bounced out to Descalso his first time up. Well, yesterday the Nationals got a run in the 2nd. Cardinals came back with 2, and they've answered with 4 in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And count 1-1 to Michael Morse. So we've already equaled the number of runs we had in the first game with 5, and we had an extra base hit. And a base hit for Morse with 2 out into left field. So Michael Morse with his 2nd hit of the series. 2-out single to Ian Desmond.
And the shadow's not nearly as much of a factor now. Obviously the area between home plate and the mound completely in the shade, although you do have bright sunlight out in the outfield and on the batter's eye in center field. But I would anticipate as this game moves on and the visibility gets better and better for the hitters at the plate, you're going to see these 2 offenses really turn it on regardless of how good the opposing pitching staff is.
And the right fielder is in sunshine, but the shadows are right near him as well, as Desmond takes ball 1, singled, and scored the Nationals' run last inning. Ian Desmond 4 for 5 thus far in this division series. It's a strike, evens the count. Two balls and a strike to Desmond, who's 25 home runs this year, with the most by any Washington shortstop, whether they were the Senators or the Nationals. No shortstop ever hit as many home runs. Lead at first by Morse. 2 out.
Well, and Ian Desmond gives a lot of the credit for his emergence as an offensive force this year to his manager, Davey Johnson. When Davey came on board, there were a lot of people around the Nationals ball club, including within the organization, that felt that Desmond should be traded. And Davey told him, hey, you're going to go out there and you're going to play, and that is it. And Desmond said, I felt like the audition was over. I was finally legitimately the shortstop of this ball club.
And Desmond strikes out on a hard fastball, and that'll do it. 2 out single, runner left. In the middle of the third, the Cardinals lead it 4-1. Upcoming schedule brought to you by Miller 64. Well, tomorrow's a travel day, and then Wednesday in Washington on the MLB Network. It'll be the Cardinals and the Nationals. Chris Carpenter will go against Edwin Jackson, who pitched in postseason for the Cardinals last year, now pitching for Washington. And Thursday, if necessary, and if the Cardinals win today, we will certainly have a Game 4. Carlos Beltran leading off against Jordan Zimmermann and takes ball 1. Bounce to second, his first time up. Good acquisition for the Cardinals. And Beltran hits it high in the air to right field. Jason Worth calls for it and makes the catch in right center field. Harper came over, but Worth had a beat on it all the way, and Beltran is retired.
It looked good coming off the bat of Carlos Beltran, but just got out there in right center field and kind of feathered just short of the warning track. Jason Worth, Bryce Harper both really battling that sun. You see Worth calling as the right arm extended, calling off his center fielder, and eventually makes the catch. You get no style points on a day like this in the outfield. As long as it ends up in the glove, you're happy.
We haven't had much style in the field other than Jason Worth's catch yesterday, which was a terrific one.
Oh, yeah.
That was an outstanding defensive play. That was the best one. Descasso made a good play going to his left. Here's Matt Holliday. Bounced to second his first time up. Fouls it away, and the count 1-1 strike to Holliday. So the Cardinals, who've been kind of quiet, 0 for 6 through 2 innings and a run yesterday, now 5 for 10 and 4 runs scored, getting 4 runs and 5 hits last inning. 2 balls and 1 strike to Matt Holliday, who battled hand injuries last year in the postseason, but did not make any trips to the DL this year. One of 3 300 hitters with a 100 RBI average in the last 7 years. Second baseman Espinoza will throw out Matt Holliday, and there are 2 gone in the 3rd inning. Only Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera can join Holliday in that distinguished fact.
Yeah, Holliday's postseason last year, Dick, it seemed like every day it was a game time decision whether he could go or not because of that hand injury. Media would gather every day behind the batting cage to watch him take BP to see if he was going to be able to answer the bell or not. In much better physical shape this year.
Alan Craig with an infield hit and scored a run last inning for the Cardinals. Takes ball 1. Cardinals getting 4 straight hits, including a double, to start things off in the second. Schumacher, the pinch hitter, got a run home on a ground out. And a call strike, 1-1s. Zimmermann had no decision in 2 starts against the Cardinals this year. High fly ball deep to left field near the line, and this one is gone. A home run for Alan Craig. Just fair. And it's 5-1 Cardinals. Craig delivers, hit 22 in the regular season and 2 for 2 in this game.
Well, Craig was one of the Cardinals that did not have real good career numbers against Jordan Zimmermann, but he's corrected that here today. 2 for 2 in the ball game, including this line drive down the left field line. Just stays inside the pole. He knew it the minute he touched it off. The only question was fair or foul, and they got that ruling from left field umpire Ed Hickox. You see it just inside the line into the second deck out there in left field.
Crowd still buzzing over that one. It's the first home run of this series. Yadier Molina takes a fastball in tight, and Zimmermann falls behind. Molina 2-0. So Craig and Molina, who could not deliver with the bases loaded and none out yesterday, have delivered with an infield hit, a home run, and Molina also with a base hit. And they are 3 for 3 thus far. Down the right field line, foul ball. And it is 2-1 to the Cardinal catcher. Talked yesterday how much he has improved so much offensively.
He's really worked hard at it along with Mark McGwire. A lot of early hitting in the cage, a lot of tee work, but more than anything else, just understanding situations. Yeah, when is it appropriate to pick a pitch and try to drive it out of the ballpark? When is it appropriate just to hit a ground ball to the right side to move a runner? So many of his big base hits this season have come to the opposite field.
And now it's 3-1 to Molina. So a 2-out home run by Alan Craig. His 5th postseason home run. 3 came in last year's World Series. Base is empty, 2 down, and the count 3-1 to Molina. Full count. Well, you mentioned last year, Cardinals lost game 1 in both the NLDS and the NLCS against Philadelphia and Milwaukee, respectively. Came back to win both series, and they also came back to win game 2 in both series. Shortstop Desmond trying to make a play, couldn't handle it, and Molina is on. Tough play for Desmond in the hole, and it should go as a base hit, and it does. So Molina 2 for 2, and he's aboard with 2 out.
Long run for Desmond just to get to that ball. Hits him in a bad spot in the glove and drops down to the grass in shallow left field. Because he did have to go so far to get to that ball, Molina will be credited with an infield hit. He and Desmond probably a little frustrated right there. He's got plenty of arm to make that play from shallow left field if he comes up with it cleanly. And with Yadier Molina running, I bet Desmond feels like that's an out that should have been recorded.
7th hit for the Cardinals. And the batter, David Freese, takes a fastball inside. David Freese with the double, knocking in the first Cardinal run last inning, and that was the first extra base hit of the series until Craig's home run with 2 out here in the 3rd. And activity begins for the Nationals. Gonzalez is throwing. Mike Gonzalez, who is one of the 4 players with the previous postseason experience on this Washington roster. So Steve McCanny with a long meeting out there, and home plate umpire Marvin Hudson out there as well. And while we have a moment, if you're listening to this right now, that means you didn't get tickets to this afternoon's baseball game. Think of it this way. If you did have tickets, then you wouldn't hear us tell you all that Big Bang Theory will return on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights after MLB postseason, only on TBS. 1-0, the count to Freese. And 2 balls and no strikes. David Freese now with 23 RBIs, 15 extra base hits in 21 postseason games, and hitting .400. Now it's 3-0 to Freese. Well, you said at the outset of this, how do you combat Washington's pitching? And that's where the Cardinals offense had to come alive. They did yesterday in losing 3-2, but they've exploded early in this game with 5 runs in the 2nd and 3rd innings.
And it has to have the Nationals reeling just a little bit, because Jordan Zimmermann rarely gets banged around the way he's been hit in the first 3 innings of this ball game today, especially under very tough circumstances with the shade and the sunlight. Fastball right on the inside corner to run the count full. He's headed down to that first baseline. Thought that one was inside off the plate. Well, once again, Suzuki holding that ball right there on the inside corner to get the call from home plate umpire Marvin Hudson.
3-2 pitch. The runner goes, and a shot gloved beautifully by Zimmermann at 3rd, and makes the play to throw out Freese, but not before the Cardinals get another run on Alan Craig's line drive homer down the left field line. And after 3 here at Busch Stadium, it's the Cardinals 5 and the Nationals 1. Nationals coming up in the fourth. Cardinals leading 5-1. Cardinals and National fans follow their teams with their Team Stream app. Download Team Stream. Choose your teams in your set. Get Team Stream from Bleacher Report today. Bottom third of the Nationals order facing Lance Lynn here in the fourth inning. Danny Espinosa fouls off the first pitch in a bunt attempt for a strike. Walk in the second inning. Lance Lynn in relief of Jaime Garcia, who threw 51 pitches. And gave up a run on 2 hits. Two-inning stint for Garcia. And Lynn with his earliest appearance in relief. Used mostly as a starter and a successful one. There's a bunt. Descalso with the glove gets it over in time to Craig. Good play by the Cardinals second baseman against the Nationals second sacker.
That's a play that's almost become standard operating procedure for second basemen on slowly hit balls or bunts to the right side. You don't have enough time to make that transfer into the throwing hand. And that small second baseman's glove lends itself well to that little shovel toss onto first base. Nicely done by Daniel Descalso.
Here's Kurt Suzuki. Strikeout victim in the second inning against Garcia. First pitch from Lynn is a strike. Craig Stammen in the Washington bullpen. One away here in the Nationals fourth. Cardinals leading 5-1 and a called strike 2. Roger Bernardina is in the on-deck circle and will pinch hit for the pitcher as Suzuki takes called strike 3. So quickly 2 down, and that's the third strikeout for Lance Lynn.
Just a perfectly located fastball, bottom of the kneecaps, outside corner. Not a pitch you can do very much with. Suzuki ends up just watching it go by for a called strike 3.
And here is the pinch hitter facing Lance Lynn. Roger Bernardina, who walked as a pinch hitter yesterday, takes a strike. Lynn getting ahead of the hitters. 2 out, nobody on base. Has struck out 3. Has given up just 1 hit. And quickly ahead of the pinch hitter, 0-2. So the Nationals forced to go to their bullpen early as the Cardinals erupt for 5 early runs. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bernardina, who had a career high .291 average this season. There's Stammen ready to come in. 2-2 the count to Bernardina. Full count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Tough outing for Jordan Zimmermann, to say the least. 12-game winner. Ball 4, so Bernardina walks for the second straight game as a pinch hitter. A 2-out base runner, and it'll be the top of the order, Jason Worth. Busch Stadium in St. Louis, where the Cardinals have a 5-1 lead, looking to even this National League Division Series at 1 game apiece before the series moves to Washington for the remainder of the series. Dick Stockton along with Bob Brenly and David Aldridge. Both starting pitchers have departed. Jaime Garcia worked 2 innings. Lance Lynn coming in relief. There's Bernardina, the base runner, and the first pitch to Worth is taken for ball 1. And Jordan Zimmermann giving up a big 4-run second inning, and he will depart. Strike, 1-1. Breaking ball just misses outside. Foul at the plate. And Yadier Molina's taking a little bit of a beating early on here, Bob.
Well, he's a guy that can withstand a beating. He has been the guy behind the plate every day for the Cardinals. Took that one right off the grill.
This is his 6th postseason. He played every inning in all 18 games in last year's World Series run.
Yeah, Tony La Russa before, Mike Matheny now, both said it's like having a coach on the field.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Strike 3 as Worth goes down. And that'll do it. In the middle of the 4th inning, the Cardinals sport a 4-run lead. Steve McCatty. And Steve, a rough outing obviously for Jordan Zimmermann. What did you see from him? Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 4th inning, leading the Nationals 5-1, and Craig Stammen, who worked yesterday's game, working an inning plus, and pretty good opponents average during the regular year at .215, Bob.
Yeah, really good. Good assortment of pitches, has the usual 4, but has to keep the ball down, rely on some movement. That's the heavy sinker right there at the bottom of the strike zone in 92. That's his bread and butter.
And he's facing Daniel Descalso, who drove in a run One of the 4 runs the Cardinals scored in the second inning with a base hit, which is taken in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jordan Zimmermann, working 3 innings, allowed 5 runs, all earned on 7 hits, 5 coming in the second inning. Struck out 2 and allowed the home run to Alan Craig. First home run of the series. In the air to right field, Jason Worth going back, and this one is going to be gone. A home run into the bleachers for Descalso. Daniel Descalso, and I said it wasn't going to be the last home run of this series. Hits one here.
A pitch down and away from him. Really good extension that time. Anytime you get that kind of extension and get down and through the ball, there's a lot of backspin. That ball carried a long way to right center. Just enough to get it over the wall out there over the head of Jason Worth.
Only hit 4 in the regular season, but hits 1 here, so 2 for 2 for Descalso with a homer and a single, 2 runs batted in. And Pete Kozma swings at a slider and misses. No balls in a strike to Kozma, and the Cardinals now leading 6-1. Getting 4 in the second, 1 in the third on Craig's homer, and a home run here by Descalso. And 6 runs on 8 hits. Fouled at the plate. Well, this is the offense that Mike Matheny was hoping for.
He's getting the production that he's used to seeing from the guys in the middle of his lineup, from the number 4 spot, Alan Craig, through Yadier Molina, David Freese, Daniel Descalso. Those guys combined 7 for 8 with 2 homers and 6 runs scored already.
Now it's 2-2 to Kozma. Stammen, 28-year-old from the University of Dayton. He ranks 2nd among all relievers in the National League, working 88 1/3 innings this season. Workhorse is in early here. And this is with the breaking ball. It bounces to Suzuki and the count full.
You know, Dick, there's different kinds of wildness. You don't mind if a sinker ball pitcher misses down in the dirt. That tells you that he's trying to hit his spot, maybe, turning the ball over just a little bit too much, but he's missing in his favor, as opposed to missing up high in the zone where the ball can get hammered. I don't think Davey Johnson will get too concerned with Craig Stammen if he's missing the bottom of the strike zone. If he starts to miss up around the top of the strike zone, that's a red flag.
You can see even on that last pitch fouled off by Kozma that it was low, and not too much damage would have been done there. And ball 4 inside. Kozma draws a walk, so a home run and a walk. It's time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. And moments ago we spoke with Nationals pitching coach Steve McCatty. And Steve, a rough outing obviously for Jordan Zimmermann. What did you see from him?
Well, the one thing you have is at the end of the season, the guy has to take a lot of days off. And as a starting pitcher, when you don't get to go on that 5th day, it throws you off, your timing's off. You can do bullpens and all that stuff, but it's just not the same as game conditions, so he made a lot of mistakes over the plate.
Craig Stammen taking over for Zimmermann. We saw him for an inning in the ball game yesterday. Could you give us a quick scouting report on Craig Stammen? What can we expect?
Well, Stammen's going to throw strikes. He's got a good sinker, changeup. He's got the basic 4 pitches, slider, curveball. He comes at you, but he's got a lot of good sink on it. And hopefully he can give us a couple innings here.
So Stammen giving up a home run and walking Kozma, and Lance Lynn obviously on to bunt. Getting ready to charge is Ryan Zimmermann from 3rd as Lynn takes a strike. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Runner at first base, nobody out. Run in already for the Cardinals here in the 4th, stretching their lead to 6-1.
There's a number of good hitters in this series, Dick, for both teams, but Lance Lynn is not one of them. 3 for 50 on the season, struck out 36 times in 50 at bats.
And this bunt is ruled foul. So now it's 1-2.
It looked like Kurt Suzuki had to make a split-second decision there. That ball might have been fair momentarily, and then the spin brought it back into foul territory. You have to determine, do I have enough time if I pounce on this ball to get the lead runner at second base, or should I just let it bounce, hope it goes into foul territory, and continue the at-bat with the pitcher at the plate? And Suzuki this time decides to let it go into foul territory.
So with 2 strikes, first showing bunt. And here it comes, and it's a successful bunt by Lance Lynn. So going to third base, and in at third base, Kozma with great hustle, never stopped running when he rounded second. And Lance Lynn, sacrificing with 2 strikes, gets the job done, and does he ever.
A real nice 2-strike bunt, but even better base running by Kozma. He's on the move on the 2-strike count, and he never hesitates. Turns the corner at second, just keeps rolling. You can see Ian Desmond raise his hands out there at second base, trying to alert the right side of the infield that Kozma was going to third base. By the time they discovered it and realized that the throw was high to Zimmermann, he's in safely at third base. That is just very alert base running on the part of the St. Louis shortstop.
Yes, with 1 out, runner at third, and then John Jay with an opportunity here. 1 for 2 with a single and a run batted in. And there's a chopper, and it's off the glove of Espinosa, and the run's going to score. So the Nationals were playing the infield in for a play at the plate. And the ball glances off the glove of Danny Espinosa, and a run scores, and it's now 7-1 in favor of the Cardinals.
Just a couple steps to his left, maybe looked up a bit too soon. It was right near the cut of the grass in the infield dirt. Not sure if that was a factor. Nope, he just missed the ball. Just looked off of it. It hit the glove and trickles out into shallow right field. Just a little bit of a lack of focus on that error.
And that is the 3rd error of the series for the Washington Nationals, who were very solid defensively in the infield during the regular season. And so Lance Lynn is on at first, still with 1 out. And a 7-1 lead. Here's Carlos Beltran. Beltran bounced out and flied out. So an error, but an RBI for John Jay. His 2nd RBI of the game. Jay had 19 stolen bases, as you see McCaddy and Davey Johnson, and now McCaddy is on the phone to the bullpen. One and 0 the count to Beltran. Christian Garcia, the rookie who was put on the roster for this series, and a pitcher that Davey Johnson talked to us about and admires. Beltran, Jay on at first base, fouls it off, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, we were talking about how efficient Ryan Matthews was in the ball game yesterday, coming in, throwing 2 sinkers, getting 3 outs on 2 pitches, and he told us that Christian Garcia has a sinker that's better than Ryan Matthews, so definitely a ground ball pitcher.
Stammen, meanwhile, in relief of Jordan Zimmermann, running into trouble here in the 4th inning, giving up a leadoff home run to Daniel Descalso, walking Pete Kozma, and then a sacrifice. Kozma went to third, and Jay reaching on an error but getting an RBI. So 2 runs in. There he goes. Jay is off, and the throw to second is not in time. John Jay with the stolen base, and this is the kind of baseball you can play when you're leading 7-1.
Yeah, you can be much more aggressive on the bases. John Jay with 19 steals during the regular season. Looked like he wanted to run from the moment he got on base. Finally gets a pitch he can go on. Stammen very deliberate to home plate, and Suzuki with very little chance to throw out the speedy John Jay.
2-1 the count to Beltran with Matt Holliday on deck. Runner in scoring position now for the Cardinals. Breaking ball, and another good play by Suzuki.
Suzuki and Molina both have been tested repeatedly already in the early part of this series. Numerous pitches in the dirt. That one climbs right up the chest protector. Looked like it hit right on the point of his catcher's mask and nearly knocked it off his face, but kept it right in front, holding Jay at second base.
Count meanwhile 3-1. And ball 4. And Beltran will draw a walk. Second walk issued by Stammen here in his 4th inning. And runners now at first and second with 1 out, and Matt Holliday coming to the plate. And time is called, and you wonder when Davey Johnson's going to trot out to the mound and make the change to Garcia.
I think very soon. You see McCaddy going to the phone once again. That's to double check with the bullpen and make sure Garcia is ready to go.
And here he comes. And that'll be all for Craig Stammen. So the Nationals, who have came into the series with outstanding pitching, both as starters and relievers, seeing it dissipate at least to this point in the game. 7-1, the Cardinals lead the Nationals, and we'll be right back. Brought to you by the Droid Razor M by Motorola. We've been talking about 27-year-old Christian Garcia, who made his big league debut September the 4th in his 9th season as a pro.
You know, sometimes the light bulb goes on a little later for some guys than other guys, and Garcia's figured out with that heavy sinking fastball, if he just keeps it down at the bottom of the zone, he can get a lot of easy ground balls. Also has a curveball and a slider, but in this particular situation, I'd expect to see a lot of sinkers.
Matt Holliday twice has bounced to the second baseman Espinosa. Cardinals have 2 runners on with 1 out, and ball 1 outside to Holliday. Garcia, native of Miami, had an ERA of 0.86 in the minors. Spent 7 years in the Yankees chain. Wasn't under contract for over a year, and then signed by the Nationals. Shot off of Garcia. The throw to first base by Desmond. Right place at the right time to get Holliday, and the runners advance. Jay to third and Beltran to second. Now with 2 away.
It was elevated just a little bit. Looked like it caught Garcia on the back of the left leg. Fortunately for the Nationals, it ricochets right to Ian Desmond, who makes a nice barehanded play and fires across to get Holliday. However, 2 Cardinals move into scoring position with 2 outs here for Allen Craig.
So if you bought a scorebook and you're keeping score in this game, it was 1-6-3 on the putout. And here is Craig with an infield hit and a home run. He has scored 2 runs in this game and a 7-1 lead. And the first pitch, a call strike. Here's the home run with 2 out in the 3rd.
The only question was fair or foul.
Oh, and 1 to Craig. You know, managers talk about getting those crooked numbers up there. I know Tony La Russa, among others, and you look at 4 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. That's not so crooked, but 2 in the 4th are. 7 runs on 8 hits for the Cardinals, 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error for the Nationals. Cardinals trying to even this best-of-5 series at 1 apiece. And what a play by Suzuki there.
That might be one of the greatest stops I've ever seen. I think he caught that with his thumbs down. Change up that time. This comes out of his hand very funny. Yeah, he did. He had his fingers down. Somehow manages to keep that ball from going all the way to the backstop. That's just an amazing stop by Kurt Suzuki, and absolutely a horrible pitch by Christian Garcia.
I enjoyed watching you talking to Davey Johnson, showing how you block some of these tough pitches. And chasing it is Craig, and he strikes out to end it, but not before the Cardinals get 2 runs, including a home run by Descasso. It's 7-1 after 4. Into the 5th inning here at Busch Stadium, and the Cardinals leading 7-1. And the 3rd inning of relief for Lance Lynn. And he's facing Bryce Harper, who fouls off the first delivery for strike 1. Harper has struck out twice thus far.
A lot of weapons in this Nationals lineup, but this is one guy I think Davey Johnson would like to get going because of what he brings to the table. High energy, high motor guy is Bryce Harper, and so far he has been a non-factor at the plate. Struck out twice yesterday, grounded out to second base twice, and flied out to left field, and so far today has struck out a couple of times. They'd love to get him involved in the mix here somehow.
One pitch, and it's 2-1 to Harper, who'll be followed by Ryan Zimmerman and Adam LaRoche. Lynn falling behind, 3-1 to the leadoff hitter. Full count now to Bryce Harper. Lance Lynn started and won his last 4 outings of the year, including a victory over these Nationals late in September, 10-4. Strikes out for the 3rd time does Bryce Harper, and is 1 gone in the 5th. Well, it's time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. And moments ago we spoke with Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. And Mike, I guess this is what you had in mind when you wanted the middle of your order and your offense to produce.
Well, we have the ability to have an explosive offense, and they do too. We know that about them, and it's just a matter of if they're going to show up today. And the guys came out swinging the bat with a good approach, and they're sticking with it.
Well, you never anticipated, Mike, but it's nice to know that when your starting pitcher today, Jaime Garcia, rather blows up a little bit in the early part of the game, you've got a guy like Lance Lynn to step in and ideally eat up some innings for you.
Yeah, we have an 18-game winner sitting in the wings. That's a pretty nice problem to have. But Lance has really deserved to be out here in this situation, and we're excited. He's a guy that's real tough between the ears as much as he is physically, and loves to be in situations like this. As you can see, he's throwing the ball pretty well right now.
Lance Lynn has struck out 5 and has given up 1 hit and has walked 1. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ryan Zimmerman, who has bounced out and struck out, and the count is 2-1. Drive hit deep to left center field. Holiday going back, and this one is going to be gone into the bullpen. A home run for Ryan Zimmerman. And the Cardinal lead now is 7-2. And the first home run for the Nationals in the series.
We just heard Mike Matheny talking about the explosiveness of the Cardinals offense, and he acknowledged that the guys on the other side have a little bit of explosiveness too. I tell you, that's how strong Ryan Zimmerman is. He hit that ball off the end of the bat and still got enough of it to get it over the fence into the bullpen out there in left center field.
25 home runs in the regular season. He's hit 25 or more for 3 of the last 4 years. So he's been a consistent power man. Showed it there as Adam LaRoche fouls off the first pitch. Strike 1. LaRoche drew a walk in the first inning and grounded to David Freese his second time up. So after a game in which we had 11 singles yesterday, Bob, we're finally seeing extra base hits and some power. 3 home runs in this game, 2 off the bats of the Cardinals and 1 from Washington.
Well, we made much about the shadows, and I think it was somewhat of a factor in the early part of the ball game. Certainly not as much as it was in yesterday's game, but all bets are off now. You better make good pitches against these 2 lineups.
And Lynn now behind 3-1 to LaRoche, with Michael Morse on deck.
Well, the only people that have to worry about the sun and the shade right now are the people sitting out in the bleachers in the outfield. Everybody else can see the ball pretty good right now.
3-1 pitch, and in the air deep to right center field, way back, and this ball is going to be a home run as well. So back-to-back home runs by Adam LaRoche. We're only in the 5th inning. It's now a 7-3 game, and with the Nationals' power never really put away, and it's 7-3 as Zimmerman and LaRoche have hit back-to-back homers.
Pitch up and out over the plate. Such tremendous plate coverage by Adam LaRoche. This pitch, watch, Molina's reaching to the outside part of the plate, and LaRoche is able to get out around that ball and get it in the air to right center field for the back-to-back home runs here in the 5th.
Joe Kelly begins to throw in earnest for the Cardinals in their bullpen as Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach, out to the mound and give Kelly some time. And here comes Marvin Hudson, the home plate umpire, out to break it up. There's Kelly. Third inning of relief for Lance Lynn, and he struck out Harper to start things. And then giving up home runs to Zimmermann and LaRoche. LaRoche, as we said, 33 home runs. A career high for him. And here is Michael Morse, and he lifts a fly ball to Beltran in right field, who makes the catch for the second out. With Ian Desmond coming up. Right now, let's check in with Matt Weiner in our studios in Atlanta. All right, Matt, thank you very much. And Desmond hits one deep to right field, but on the warning track, Beltran makes the catch to retire the side. Nationals fight back with back-to-back homers by Zimmermann and LaRoche. It's 7-3 in the middle of the 5th.
Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Here at St. Louis, Dick Stockton along with Bob Brenly and David Aldridge. 7-3, the Cardinals lead the Nationals, and Yadier Molina will lead off against Christian Garcia. Molina 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. He scored a run and takes ball one. And Bob, you get the feeling that the Cardinals shouldn't get too comfortable with things at this point.
Well, unfortunately, no. I mean, if you're a Cardinal fan, you better buckle up because this Nationals team can hit home runs and they can hit them in bunches, Dick. I saw it personally this year working for the Chicago Cubs. Early September, the Nationals had back-to-back games, 6 home runs each day. Now, granted, it was the Cubs pitching staff that was struggling a little bit this year, but they have that kind of thunder. They can put runs on the board in a hurry. And I'm sure Mike Matheny is well aware of that.
Now, did they not get 4 more in that last game?
I lost count, Dick. Ball was flying out of that park so fast you couldn't count them.
3 balls, no strikes to Molina. And a fastball for a strike. So far, if you look at the Cardinal lineup, the top 3 are 1 for 8, and the bottom 6 have 7 hits and 11 trips and 5 runs driven in. Strike, and Molina on his way down to first base, just as Craig was last inning.
Appeared to catch the edge of that strike zone at 95 with a little bit of movement.
Fouls off the 3-2, and we'll do it again. So we've had 4 homers in this game, as you see David Freese in the on-deck circle. 4 home runs and a double, so we're getting our share of extra base hits after 0 in yesterday's game. Now that's ball 4. Molina draws a leadoff walk. First walk by Garcia, and Freese, who had a run-scoring double and came around and scored himself, will come to the plate. And was robbed of a hit by Ryan Zimmermann. Zimmermann made a fine play on Freese in the 3rd inning. So the Cardinals have to be intent on adding on as much as they can, knowing Washington's ability to swing the bat up and down the lineup and for power. First pitch, ball 1. Strike, 1-1. What a postseason last year for David Freese. Not going to see many better than that.
That's the kind of stuff you dream about as a little kid, and being a little kid growing up here in the St. Louis area, doing it for the team that you grew up rooting for. I can't imagine anything better.
MVP of the Championship Series and the World Series. 5 home runs, 21 runs driven in, hitting .397. The games that really count. In tight, and 2-1 to David Freese with Molina on at first, nobody out. Chris Carpenter, who's slated to go in Game 3 in Washington on Wednesday. Up high, 3-1 now.
Garcia is really becoming a one-pitch pitcher out there on the mound right now, just overthrowing his breaking pitch, not allowing it to take the break, leaving it up in the zone. Sinker's been real good. The velocity's real good on the fastball. Just doesn't really have a secondary pitch to go to at this point.
And he walks the first 2 hitters here in the 5th inning as Freese trots down to first and Molina goes to second. Well, this postseason, for the first time, MLB Network has Division Series game telecast coming up this Wednesday. And don't miss any of the action of the Cardinals Nationals Game 3, a game you can only see on MLB Network. So go to MLBnetwork.com for a schedule and channel number. 2 on, nobody out, and here is Daniel Descalso, who is 2 for 2, single and a home run, and 2 runs batted in. Cardinals looking to at least answer the 2 runs in the top of the 5th for the Nationals. And the first pitch taken for a strike. Mike Gonzalez is now throwing in the Nationals pen.
I'm not a lip reader, but I know what Daniel Descalso said right there. That's off the plate, and I have to agree with him on that particular pitch.
One and one to Descalso, who started 94 games, 66 of them at second base this year. About 13 more than he started last season. Becoming more of a fixture for this team. In the dirt, once again, Kurt Suzuki with men on base does the job.
Yeah, and here's that disputed first pitch Descalso thought was off the plate away.
And coming out to the mound is Steve McCatty, perhaps to give Gonzalez more time.
They're possibly looking ahead to the possibility of another pinch hitter in that 9th spot in the lineup. Lance Lynn has done a nice job up to this point, but Mike Gonzalez ready just in case we get down to that pitcher spot, and Mike Matheny pulls the trigger on Matt Carpenter. Right now his most dangerous pinch hitter off the bench is Matt Carpenter, so with that in mind, Davey Johnson getting a lefty ready just in case they get down to that spot with a chance to do some damage.
Meanwhile, the Cardinals have Joe Kelly. Carpenter in the dugout, and the count 2 balls and a strike. Two runners on with their leads, nobody out. And a ground ball to the left side. Desmond over to Espinosa, the throw to first, double play. And crowd feeling that LaRoche left the bag before the throw got there, and the double play will send Molina over to third with 2 away.
Play started okay. It looked like Espinosa took a little time to take a stutter step toward the middle of the infield to avoid the sliding runner, and it always looks like the first baseman comes off the bag early, but that is not the case. LaRoche was all over the base and just in time to get a hustling Daniel Descalso at first.
So 2 down, Molina at third, and here's Pete Kozma. Ball 1 outside. Kozma has struck out and walked, but alertly went to third on a sacrifice and ultimately scored on John Jay's reaching on an error. 1 and 1. Shane Robinson is in the on-deck circle. There's Robinson. And if Kozma keeps it alive, will come up and pinch hit for Lance Lynn. Two balls and a strike to the Cardinal shortstop. Strike 2 and 2. Kozma looking for the base hit to get Molina home. And again, a good stop. It's like a broken record talking about Kurt Suzuki so far in the series, Bob.
Well, if you're a young catcher out there watching this series, you ought to take notes. Both these catchers have done a tremendous job of keeping that ball from going to the backstop, holding those runners at their bases. I talked last night about the range of a catcher. It might only be a foot in either direction, but if you don't have it, it really shows.
3-2 pitch, and Kozma strikes out to end it, and Molina stranded at third. It's 7-3. Goodyear Superior Performance, and we've had a number of them. There are two right here, CC Sabathia and Bronson Arroyo.
Yeah, really good starts for their team. Looks like Bronson Arroyo, one hit over 7 innings of shutout baseball.
Meanwhile, we have a new pitcher for the Cardinals, Bob. Joe Kelly, third pitcher of the day. Had some good moments this year.
Yeah, he's had some really good moments and figures heavily into the future plans of the St. Louis Cardinals. But right now, they just want to see him out there firing strikes.
Danny Espinosa swings at the first pitch, lifts one deep to left center field, and going back and leaping, and it is caught! Caught! What a play made by John Jay, the center fielder!
That ball was driven toward the gap in left center field. Looked like Jay was going to run out of room, but makes the leaping catch as he got to the warning track, catches the ball and crashes into the wall simultaneously. What an amazing catch by John Jay.
Almost running full bore into that padding, and the crowd giving him a standing ovation.
Well, he had to go a long way. John Jay plays such a shallow center field, much like former Cardinal Jim Edmonds. And when you hit that ball toward the gap or over the head, you've got a long way to run. John Jay on a dead sprint felt the warning track under his feet, made the leap, and crashed into the wall at the same time he made the catch.
Sharply hit by Suzuki, and Cosma throws him out. And there are two down. We can't see this enough, Bob Brentley.
Man, I'm telling you, I mean, the ball hits his glove and his body hits the wall almost simultaneously. Rarely do you see that ball stay in the glove, but John Jay able to make the play of the series up to this point.
Robbing Espinosa, and the reaction, and John Jay making the great catch. Meanwhile, we'll have a pinch hitter now for Christian Garcia. Steve Lombardozzi is coming up, making his first appearance in this series. Utility player who made 83 starts this year, and he takes a strike. Grew up in Columbia, Maryland, so not far from where the Nationals play, and a .298 hitter in 4 years in the minor leagues. Second pinch hitter of the game for the Nationals. Bernardino walked in the 4th inning. Joe Kelly. And the pitch is outside, 1-1. So Kelly, who relieved Lance Lynn, who worked 3 innings. '24-year-old right-hander, and the count 2-1.
Yeah. Excuse me, Dick, I'm sorry. If the name Lombardozzi sounds familiar, his father, Steve, major league player, was on that '87 Twins World Championship team.
You were wondering about that as soon as we mentioned his name, and good research by you. And the pitch fouled away, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And I was going to say Kelly may be happy that Bernardino is no longer in the game, because he was touched by a home run by Roger Bernardino late in September. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here in the 6th inning, and a line drive caught by Cosma, but this was the play of the series so far. John Jay, and the reaction of his skipper, Mike Matheny. 7-3, the Cardinals still lead it. Ball one to the pinch hitter Shane Robinson. Mike Gonzalez is the fourth pitcher of the game for the Nationals, and Robinson hits one to right field. Worth is going over toward the line and makes the catch to retire Robinson, who was the best pinch hitter on the Cardinals this year with 11 hits and 50 trips to the plate. So Gonzalez gets Robinson, and there's one away, and John Jay comes up, and let's listen to the applause for him. Showing bunt and taking ball one is Jay, who has driven in 2 runs with a single. Reached on an error as Cosma scored back in the 4th inning, also has a stolen base. So John Jay has driven in 3 runs so far in the series. Hits one out to left field. Michael Morse coming over and making the catch for the second out. 2 fly balls and 2 outs. Mike Gonzalez gets the first 2 Cardinals here in the 6th inning, and that'll bring Carlos Beltran to the plate. We mentioned that Gonzalez has postseason experience as we move into this 6th inning. Dick Stockton along with Bob Brenly and David Aldridge. The Cardinals with 4 runs in the 2nd, a run in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. At a 7-1 lead before back-to-back home runs by Ryan Zimmermann and Adam LaRoche cut the lead to 4. And that's where we are with 2 out here in the 6th inning. 2-0 the count to Beltran. Fouled off. Michael Gonzalez in his 10th big league season made the postseason debut last year with the Rangers, including 3 games against the Cardinals in the World Series. Relatively inexperienced team for the Nationals. They didn't show it yesterday. And the team that under Davey Johnson, 69-year-old skipper, had the best record in baseball.
Well, and talking about Mike Gonzalez at this stage of his career, one thing he does extremely well, Dick, is add and subtract. He'll throw a fastball up there at 90. The next one might be 92. The following fastball will be 86. He really varies the velocity on his pitches, and it makes him a much more effective pitcher than if he was max effort on everything.
Pop fly down the left field line. Chasing it is Desmond and Morse, and it's going to be foul, and it looked very close to being a fair ball. And the left field umpire, Ed Hickox, right on top of it.
And so are the fans down there in that little corner of the seats. I have to believe if that ball hit chalk, they would be squawking. But Michael Morse had to lay off there. You can see he was getting close to that side wall. Wasn't going to be able to stop himself if he did reach down and make that catch. So Ian Desmond and Michael Morse helping out Ed Hickox with the call down there in the left field corner.
And he appreciates that support. Gonzalez again with the 2-2, and in the air, almost a similar fly ball down the line. This one is clearly foul, and Desmond, or actually Ryan Zimmermann, closest to it. And staying alive is Carlos Beltran, who was 0 for 2 with a walk in this game. Well, John Jay with 2 runs batted in and a fantastic catch against the padding, running full speed into it in left center field. Has been a stalwart today for the Cardinals. Here's a changeup drilled down the left field line, and this one is gone. Home run for Beltran, and the Cardinals add to their lead. Home runs in the regular year, 1 right here.
one single up to this point in the series for Carlos Beltran, but he makes his presence felt here tonight, batting from the right side of the plate. Screaming home run off the facing of the third deck out there in left field. That ball was crushed.
And it's an 8-3 Cardinal lead. Matt Holliday taking ball one. So in a game in which we had no extra base hits yesterday by either club, we have 5 home runs slugged today at Busch Stadium. And the changeup is up high. 2 balls, no strikes to Holliday, who is 0 for 3 in this game and still looking for his first hit of the series. Strike, 2-1. And those who measure those things estimate that home run 441 feet.
Yeah, power is right. Yeah, just a section below that particular sign out there in left field is where Carlos Beltran slugged that last homer.
2-2 now to Holliday. So 9 hits off the bats of the Cardinals today. 4 of them of the extra base variety and 3 home runs. Alan Craig, Daniel Descalso, and now Carlos Beltran here in the 6th. And strike 3. And Holliday goes down and questions Marvin Hudson, but that'll do it. But the 2-out home run by Beltran, and the Cardinals leading 8-3 as we go to the 7th. Another look at this last pitch. Top of the 7th, Cardinals lead the Nationals 8-3 in this second game of the series, with Washington winning game 1. Get your team's news first. Get the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report, and you'll never miss another big moment with your team. Download Team Stream on the App Store or Google Play. Jason Worth Fouls off the first pitch from Edward Mujica, and Carlos Beltran, who hit the home run last inning, his 12th postseason home run and his first in 6 years. And he did it for the Mets right here in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike to Worth, who has walked, flied out, and struck out. And this one is bounced into the middle, or into center field for a base hit. And so a single off of Edward Mujica, who retired the Nationals in order in the 7th inning in Game 1 yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. The scripted tail end of the ball game for Mike Matheny involves Edward Mujica coming in here in the 7th inning, possibly with an assist from left-hander Mike Zepchinski. Then you turn the ball over to Mitchell Boggs in the 8th, Jason Mott in the 9th, although that script did not work for the Cardinals yesterday. Mike Matheny hoping for better results today.
Well, Mark Zepchinski came in, and of course the lefty faced the eventual hero Tyler Moore, the right-handed pinch hitter, after Chad Tracy was announced. Worth is on at first base, and Harper with a base hit and going over to third base. And look at the hustle of Harper diving in for a double. Never stopped running and showed his speed. And a double for Bryce Harper. Runners at second and third, nobody out here in the 7th.
And Harper finally with some solid contact off the barrel of the bat. Jason Worth, a good base runner, turns the corner. He'll easily make it to third. And finally, Bryce Harper gets his uniform dirty. Now he feels like he's been in a ball game.
That is his first hit. As you mentioned, strikeout victim 5 times in this series. So runners at second and third, and nobody out. And Ryan Zimmerman, 5-run lead for the Cardinals. Lead is never safe against this Washington batting order. Goes after the fastball up in the zone and fouls it back. Zimmerman homered his last time up. Deep drive into the bullpen in left center field. Mitchell Boggs, you were talking about the format of the relievers, is now up and throwing for the Cardinals. One ball and 1 strike. Nationals trying to stage their second uprising of the game after falling way behind. They had back-to-back home runs in the 5th by Zimmerman and then Adam LaRoche. Cardinals got a run in the 6th, and here the Nationals trying to fight back again here in the 7th. And a line drive left field. Holiday will make the catch, and tagging up and scoring is Jason Worth, and the throw getting away. Diving is Harper. He's out at third. Last thing you want when you're down by as many runs as the Nationals are. Run will score. Worth comes across with the 4th run, but Harper is out at third.
Hey Dick, there's a saying in this game, trying to do too much, and that's a perfect example of it right here. The line drive to left, for some unexplained reason, Holiday makes a horrible toss back to the infield, but Pete Kozma hustles out, picks up the errant throw, and fires on to third base in time to get Bryce Harper. Just trying to do too much. That's actually the second baseman, Daniel Descalso, throwing to the shortstop, Pete Kozma.
So the play went from Holiday to Descalso to Kozma. And here is Adam LaRoche, and he takes ball 1. So now it's an 8-4 game, but the Nationals have 2 out and give up a very valuable base runner. As Harper, 19 years old, ran the bases like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, just trying to be too aggressive. You know, saw that ball get away. I'm still puzzled as to what happened to the throw from Matt Holliday back to the infield.
LaRoche lifts a fly ball down the line. And coming over to make the catch is Beltran in foul territory, and that will end it. The Nationals get a run. They had second and third and nobody out. And it's 8-4 as we go to the bottom of the seventh. And welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Dick Stockton along with Bob Brenly and David Aldridge. Cardinals leading the Nationals 8-4, looking to even this best-of-5 division series at 1 game apiece, with the next, or the remainder of the series really, to be played in Washington. Alan Craig will lead off against Ryan Matthews, who is the 5th pitcher of the game for the Nationals. And Craig fouls off the first pitch. Craig with an infield hit and a home run. There's Matthews, who was on the mound and got those 3 outs on 2 pitches with the bases loaded, nobody out yesterday in the 7th.
Well, we joked the only way he could have been more efficient was to throw a triple play ball with the first pitch.
Yeah, what's wrong with him?
I don't know. Heavy sinking fastball down in the zone.
Matthews, 28-year-old from the Sacramento area, California. No surprise what he did with the bases loaded. Opponents 161 with runners in scoring position this year, as Craig fouls it off and the count 1-2. Ryan Matthews, acquired by the Nationals in 2009 after having Tommy John surgery. That has been a repetitive theme we've had in this series.
Yeah, it's much more commonplace nowadays, Dick, and the recovery is much shorter. Medical science has really moved forward in how to handle the pitching arm and get guys back on the field quickly. In many cases, better than they were before.
Both our starters today, who left early, Jaime Garcia for the Cardinals and Jordan Zimmermann for the Nationals, both had Tommy John surgery. Ball and 2 strikes. The Nationals beating the Cardinals here in St. Louis, feeling good about themselves, but knowing how tough the Cardinals have been. Never say die the last 2 years. 2-2 now to Craig, and Yadier Molina's on deck. There's Molina. He's been on base 3 times today. Count holds 2-2 on the 92-mile-an-hour pitch. Nationals scored a run in the second. Cardinals answered with 4. Before you know it, it was 7-1, and then back-to-back homers by the Nationals in the 5th. Cardinals added 1 in the 6th. It seems like teams are scoring a run in every inning, as Washington scored 1 in the top of this 7th. Hit to third, and Zimmermann throws out Craig, and there's 1 away. State of the game brought to you by State Farm. Let's talk about that second inning. David Freese with a double, first extra base hit of the series. Daniel Descalso followed with a hit. And Freese coming around and scoring. And then Alan Craig with the first home run of the series. And Descalso followed with a home run as well. And later on, Beltran added the home run. A 9-hit onslaught and an 8-4 lead.
Yeah, the Cardinals offense answered the wake-up call today. It was like a feeding frenzy in that second inning. 4 consecutive base hits. The Nationals were able to get a couple of quick outs, and then John Jay with a big 2-out base hit to pick up another RBI in that second inning.
That's a strike. And 1-1 to Yadier Molina with 2 singles and a walk. Has scored a run today. This is a Cardinal team. Of course, Albert Pujols not signed. Going to the Angels. Tony La Russa retired. Dave Duncan. We always wish he and his family well. Injury to Chris Carpenter. Furcal got hurt. And this team really had to fight adversity this year as they did last year. There's a ground ball. Behind the bag is Espinosa and makes the play for the second out. So a lot of the big Cardinals, productive Cardinals, unable to go, and David Aldridge with more.
Yeah, one of the biggest, Dick, obviously Lance Berkman, so important to this team last year in the World Series against Texas. Been hurt most of the year, not on the Cardinals playoff roster after undergoing right knee surgery on September 11th. But he's still trying to help his team wherever he can. Before Game 1 of this series, he and Chris Carpenter, who's starting Game 3, talked to the team and laid it on the line, said, you guys are the defending world champions. You need to play like it and act like it. And John Jay said that hearing from guys like that has really helped this team get ready for this postseason, Dick.
All right, David, thank you very much. 1-2-3 inning. Cardinals retired in the 7th. Eighth inning, Cardinals leading 8-4 this postseason for the first time. MLB Network has Division Series game telecasts coming up this Wednesday. Don't miss any of the action as the Cardinals travel to Washington to take on the Nationals in Game 3. Game you can only see on MLB Network. So go to MLBnetwork.com for schedule and channel number. Michael Morse takes the first pitch, ball one from Mitchell Boggs, who took the loss in yesterday's 3-2 game. Led the National League with 34 holds, and that is a Cardinal record. Morse is 1 for 3, singled in the third.
And this is exactly when Boggs came into the ball game yesterday to face Michael Morse to start the 8th inning. Morse hit the ground ball to short that Cosma couldn't handle. Base hit later by Ian Desmond. Boggs did strike out Kurt Suzuki before Moore came up to get the pinch hit against the left-hander Zepchinski.
Mike Matheny had a lot of options yesterday in that situation. Swing and a miss, and the count 1-2. And Boggs could have been tiring a little bit. You bring in Mott for a 4-out save.
Well, the issue with that was if he brings Mott into the game, he needs to double switch because you want him to go back out and pitch the 9th inning as well. And he'd already used some of his most logical double switch players off the bench as pinch hitters earlier in the game.
You would have lost Alan Craig, a bat that you might have needed later on. A tight game, and it goes extra innings, and you wish you had your cleanup hitter in there.
Well, I think that situation really points out how sometimes reputation alone will force an opposing manager to make a move that maybe he doesn't want to make.
Base hit to right field, going the opposite way is Michael Morse with his second hit of the game, leading off the 8th. So the 4-run lead for the Cardinals. Talked about the Cardinals never say die. How about the Nationals today?
They just keep swinging those bats until somebody tells them to stop. Yeah, and the reputation I was speaking of is Chad Tracy, a left-handed bat, very experienced hitter, very good pinch hitter, will give you a good, solid professional at bat. And the fact that Tracy was going to be the scheduled hitter forced Mike Matheny to make that decision to go to the left-hander. And then Tyler Moore, of course, pinch hit for Chad Tracy and came up with the big 2 RBI base hit.
Ian Desmond, the batter, 1 for 3 today and 3 hits yesterday. So 4 hits, the most by any Washington batter. 1-0 the count to him. Of course, you really want to analyze it. The Cardinals had the bases loaded, none out, bottom of the 7th with a 2-1 lead. And a lot of that would have made it a moot point if they had gotten at least a run or maybe broken open the game. Time called, and Molina will go to the mound to talk to Boggs. And right now, what better to check in with Matt Weiner in Atlanta? Go ahead, Matt. Are you?
Not yet. Not to the best of my knowledge, Dick.
2-1 foul ball off to the left. Don't ask me. You get the same answer.
I'm very challenged, social media wise. Forget about it. You know. I think I told you last year. Instead of Facebook, I'm a face-to-face guy.
Is there any better way? 2 balls and a strike to Ian Desmond, who had a hit against Boggs yesterday, 2 for 6 in his career. Fouls it off on a big cut. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Morse is on at first, nobody out. Nationals batting in the 8th, trailing 8-4. Lights have been on for the last inning or so here at Busch Stadium. Good stop on the bounce to the plate by Molina. Do you ever have a real tough game? I'm sure you did as a catcher, where all you did was try to dig out pitches.
Oh yeah. mean, I caught for a Roger Craig managed team. Everybody on the staff threw a split finger fastball, and 9 times out of 10 it ended up in the dirt. I blocked a few of them.
Looking at your career, more than a few, I would think. Here's the payoff pitch. Out of play again.
You'll notice Mitchell Boggs out there on the mound has a little bit of an unusual setup. I asked him about it before yesterday's ball game. He was having some trouble with his leg kick and swinging his leg, and sometimes he'd swing it a little further than other times. So he really closes up. That toe is pointed almost toward the shortstop position. Then he just raises his leg and goes straight from there.
Desmond lifts it in the air to right field. Beltran makes the catch, and Jay got very close to Beltran, who called him off from the very beginning. And Desmond is retired for the first out in the 8th, bringing up Danny Espinosa.
And normally the center fielder is the captain of the outfield, and everybody defers to him. But I think in this case, we're going to go with length of service. Carlos Beltran calling off John Jay.
And actually, we saw Jay, but Beltran first called off Jay, and then Jay said, "I've got it." And at least somebody got it. Unlike that infield fly, we won't get into that in Atlanta.
We don't want to go there.
Here's Espinosa. And it was Espinosa hit the drive to left center field when John Jay made a phenomenal running, and I don't mean running to make the catch, running into the wall catch, one-handed. The most sparkling defensive play of this young series. 1 out, 1 on. 8-4 Cardinals, 8th inning. Line drive off the glove of Descalso, and the throw to second base. It goes right by the bag to third where Freese is there. Morse had to hold up in case Descalso was going to make the catch. So runners now at first and second.
And Beltran realized that Morse was out there in no man's land between first and second, couldn't regroup and get his momentum going quickly enough towards second. Beltran was looking for a forced play at second. Unfortunately, in his haste to get it back in, he airmails it over everybody all the way to third base.
So now runners at first and second, 1 out. In an 8-4 game, the tying run would be in the on-deck circle right now. Meanwhile, Jason Mock starts to throw in the Cardinal bullpen, their closer. I don't think anything's going to be easy for either team in this series, Bob.
I don't think so. You're going to have to earn this one. Either team, whoever comes out on top, you're going to have to play your best baseball, come up with some clutch hits, have some clutch performances out of those bullpens.
Kurt Suzuki. Strike on the inside corner, 0 for 3 today. Struck out twice and bounced to short.
Yeah, Suzuki didn't like it. You can't really blame him. Tailing fastball at 95 that ends up well off of that inside corner, immediately putting him in a hole.
Chad Tracy is on deck for the Nationals. There's a drive hit out to right field. Beltran is there making the catch for out number 2. 2 on, 2 out, and we're going to see Chad Tracy come up to hit. He was the best pinch hitter on the Nationals this year. Was announced yesterday, only to see Tyler Moore get the call when the pitching change became a big factor. So here's Tracy.
And no sign of Zepchinski warming up in the bullpen today, so Tracy's going to get an opportunity to hit against Mitchell Boggs.
One homer and 11 runs batted in as a pinch hitter. Swings at the first pitch, pop up behind third. David Freese makes the catch, and that'll do it. Leadoff single, 2 got on base. Nationals retired in the 8th, 8-4 St. Louis. It's 8-4 in favor of the Cardinals, who are coming up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Coming up next on TBS is Game 2 of the ALDS between the Yankees and the Orioles. It'll be Pettit and Shen, the starting pitchers. Ernie Johnson, John Smoltz, Cal Ripken Jr., and Craig Sager will have it covered. We're pleased that the weather is dry at Camden Yards. Here is Daniel Descalso facing Sean Burnett, who is the 6th pitcher of the game for the Nationals. He's not allowed a run in his last 6 outings, but was touched for 3 runs in 2 outings against the Cardinals in early September. Cardinals took 2 out of 3 in their last series.
I think you'll see a fastball slider combination against left-handed hitters. Fastball changeup against the righties as that drastic crossfire action. Very deceptive.
Drive to right. Worth is back and makes the catch against Descalso, who homered against Burnett in that last series. And David Descalso retired for out number 1 here in the 8th.
What good solid contact this time. An elevated fastball. Hitting coaches like to call that a fence high fastball right at the top of the zone. Jason Worth able to backpedal onto the warning track and make the catch right in front of the wall.
So 1 out to Pete Kozma. Kozma has struck out twice, walked and scored a run. 1-0 the count to him. Jason Mott will come in the 9th inning. So Matt Carpenter is on deck and will pinch hit for Mitchell Boggs. 1-1 the count to Kozma. Here's Mott. Yesterday Mike Matheny had the plan all laid out. Kind of went awry in the 8th inning when the Nationals scored the 2 runs to turn a 2-1 deficit into a 3-2 lead, which held up. 2 balls and a strike to the Cardinals shortstop. Burnett, 1st round pick of the Pirates in 2000. Traded to the Nationals in 2009. 3-1. Into left field. Base hit. And right now Morse couldn't find it. And sliding in at second base is Kozma. Morse trapped the ball in left field. Turned around, couldn't find the ball. And before you know it, Kozma's on at second base. It is a double.
Now, when speed is one of your assets, you'd be well advised to use it all the time. And Kozma does. Looked like a line drive to left field. Morse misplayed it a little bit, smothers it against the grass, and by the time he can find where the ball is, Kozma sliding into second base with a double.
So 1 out, and Kozma in scoring position. And Matt Carpenter is coming up to pinch hit for Boggs. Takes inside for ball 1. Carpenter, who hit .294 with 46 runs batted in the regular season. 8 for 31 as a pinch hitter and 11 runs back driven in.
Yeah, really the only right-handed bat available at this point for Mike Matheny is his backup catcher Tony Cruz. So Carpenter gets the at bat against a tough lefty.
1-1, and Carpenter just checking with Marvin Hudson that pitch was a strike that he fouled off. Kozma in scoring position. 1-2. Jaime Garcia and Jordan Zimmermann were the starting pitchers today. Garcia worked 2 innings and Zimmermann worked 3. Cardinals looking to even this series at 1 game apiece. In the dirt. Said it once, we'll say it again. Kurt Suzuki.
We were commenting to Davey Johnson before the ballgame what a good job that Suzuki and Yadier Molina have done in this series blocking pitches. And Davey said it goes even further than that. Some of the guys we had behind the plate early in the year, they suffered some injuries, had to dip into the minor leagues, and everybody that they called up to go behind the plate did an outstanding job of blocking pitches in the dirt.
There goes the runner to third, and it's fouled off. So Kozma was off on the pitch trying to steal third, and the count 2 balls 2 strikes now. 1 out. Cardinals batting in the 8th. Chris Carpenter and Edwin Jackson, the starting pitchers, slated to go in game 3 after a travel day tomorrow in Washington. Carpenter making 3 starts for the Cardinals this year. And the other Carpenter, Matt, fouls it off again. What a game Chris Carpenter pitched against.
Well, he'll go down. Yeah, he'll go down as one of the best big game pitchers in the history of this game, especially if he can continue to rack up the numbers in this postseason that he has in the past.
Strike 3, and Carpenter goes down. So lefty against lefty, and there are 2 down.
What really made that pitch look bad is you see where Suzuki sets up on the outside corner. He has to reach all the way back across his body and across the plate to catch that breaking pitch that ended up right on the inside corner.
So John Jay, the batter, with 2 out and a runner at second. Jay with 2 runs batted in, 1 for 4 on the day, but his sparkling catch in left center field drew the most response, I think, of anything that happened today for the fans. Sean Burnett, the left-hander. 6 pitchers used by Davey Johnson this afternoon, early evening here. Two and 0 now. I could see this catch all day, Bob.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, sometimes a guy will get to the spot and then kind of glide and make a jump against the wall just for effect. Yeah, John Jay had to do everything he did on this play just to get there in time to make the catch.
And a base hit down the right field line. Scoring will be Kozma, and John Jay fumbling it in right field. Jason Worth can't find the handle, and Jay is going to slide into third. Cardinals lead it 9-4. Jay with his 3rd RBI of the game and the 4th in the series.
Just tomahawks that pitch down into the right field corner. Jason Worth plays the carom off the wall but doesn't pick it up cleanly. Right there, that's all the hesitation that John Jay needed to turn the corner at second, go sliding into third base with an RBI hit.
So it's now 9-4, and Carlos Beltran, who homered his last time up, takes ball 1 inside from Sean Burnett. 9 runs on 11 hits for the Cardinals today. The only innings they haven't scored: the 1st, the 5th, and the 7th. What a game for John Jay. And they're going to rule it a triple for Jay. That's the first triple of this series. Two balls and a strike now to Beltran. Trevor Rosenthal is now throwing in the Cardinal bullpen, and there's a drive by Beltran deep to left field, and it's gone. Two-run homer for Carlos Beltran, his second homer of the game.
Nice smooth approach that time by Carlos Beltran. Got the bat head on the ball out in front of home plate. Once again, a lot of backspin. Nothing cheap about that one.
And a wave of the crowd. They demanded Carlos Beltran, who homered in the 6th, and here in the 8th, a two-run drive, and it's now 11-4 as Matt Holliday takes ball 1-0. So in a game yesterday in which we had no extra base hits, we have 10 in this game, 7 off the bats of the Cardinals. 2-0 now to Matt Holliday, who is 0 for 4. And Jason Mott, not a safe situation, and he has put his jacket back on in the bullpen. As we mentioned, Trevor Rosenthal is working. There's Rosenthal.
I'll tell you, Mott is such a tightly wound young man. He's going to have to run home from the ballpark today if he doesn't get the pitch. He's got a lot of energy. He's ready to burn right now, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it in the ball game.
3 runs in here in the 8th inning. And the pitch down low, ball 4, and Matt Holliday draws a walk. Right now, let's check in with Matt Winer. And it's, well, first of all, the sign wasn't out yesterday, but today's a good day to post it, don't you think, with the way the Cardinals are hitting?
I think timing is everything for that gentleman with the sign, and he kept it in his back pocket yesterday, but proudly showing it off today.
Tom Gorzolani, the 30-year-old lefty from Chicago, primarily a starter for the Pirates Cubs and Nationals, and until he moved to the Nationals pen after 15 starts last year, is the new pitcher, 7th of the game for Washington.
Very similar to Sean Burnett in the style of pitching. Fastball slider to lefties, fastball changeup to righties.
And he'll be facing Alan Craig, who is 2 for 4 with a single and a home run, scored 2 runs. 4 home runs for the Cardinals in game 2. Two down here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the first pitch fouled out of play. Everyone has hit safely in the Cardinal lineup except Matt Holliday and the 9th spot. In fact, you look at thinking about hits, runs batted in. Jay has 3, Beltran 3 RBIs, Descalso 2, and Craig, Freese, and Schumacher 1 apiece. It's a big day at the plate. And a shot to left field, and that one is going to be off the wall on a bounce. And they're going to have trouble in the outfield, and Matt Holliday is going to come around and score the 12th run of the game for the Cardinals. And Craig winds up at second. And the beat goes on.
I think they're going to have to hang an arrow on Michael Morse out there in left field. Jose Oquendo had clearly thrown up the stop sign for Matt Holliday, but then when Morse fumbled the ball on the warning track, he windmilled that left arm and sent him on home. Right there, Michael Morse. And then you saw Oquendo take down the stop sign, circle that right arm, and send Holliday on home.
And the Cardinal fans looking for more. Here's Yadier Molina and a ground ball. And good play by Ryan Zimmermann. Throws out Molina, and the inning is over. But 4 runs for the Cardinals, and they take a 12-4 lead into the 9th. Home run power for the St. Louis Cardinals. Alan Craig, a solo homer in the third. Daniel Descalso leading off the fourth. Carlos Beltran, first of his home runs in the sixth, and then a two-run homer in the eighth inning. And the home run barrage today for the Cardinals. They lead at 12-4. And now batting in the top of the ninth inning, Bryce Harper, or take that, Jason Worth, leading off against Trevor Rosenthal, 22-year-old right-hander from the Kansas City area. Then the count 2-0.
And throws extremely hard, as you've seen on the first two deliveries, 97 and 99. Also has a pretty good curveball. But he's just going to rush the top of the strike zone with a big lead in the ball game. He's just in there to throw strikes right now.
Not allowed to run in his last 7 outings in the regular season, including twice against the Nationals. And count 2 balls and a strike on that last inning. The last run the Cardinals scored, with Alan Craig hitting it to left field off the wall. They ruled it a double, no RBI, and an error charged to Michael Morse. And a strike. 3-1 as Worth was on his way to first. 3 balls, 2 strikes now.
.100 on that last fastball from Rosenthal. You better get it ready quickly.
And a chance for the 22-year-old to get a taste of postseason action. And he strikes out Jason Worth. 1 out in the ninth.
And so far it tastes pretty good for Trevor Rosenthal. When you come in out of the bullpen with a big lead in the game and just rear back and throw your best pitch, blows that one right by Jason Worth at the top of the strike zone.
And now here is Bryce Harper, who got his first hit of the series with a double to right field in the 7th inning, and then a base running miscue was thrown out on a sacrifice fly, trying to get to third. Strike one, and this at a time when the Nationals still with a shot at this game. Down by 8 with 1 out in the 9th inning. Bob mentioned at the outset, the Cardinals used to saying, hey, we're behind, we got to come back in a series. They lost both game 1 of the NLDS and NLCS last year, came back and won both series, and came back and won game 2 in both of those.
I think that's all part of the postseason experience we talk so much about. If you've been in a postseason series before and been behind before, you understand that it's not as urgent and immediate as you think. You've got 5 games ideally to play this thing out, and if you feel like you've got the better team, if you happen to lose game 1, big deal. But if you've never been in that situation before and you do lose game 1 of a series, it can be a little bit deflating.
Strike 3. So Trevor Rosenthal strikes out Jason Worth and Bryce Harper. 2 down here in the 9th inning, and Ryan Zimmermann, last hope for the Nats. Zimmermann with a home run in the 5th. Nationals showing some long ball of their own with the back-to-back homers in the 5th by Zimmermann and LaRoche. And they'll be going home for the rest of the series for as long as it goes. Boy, he's impressive, isn't he?
Oh, unbelievably live arm. Just easy gas. Ball comes out of his hand. That's a term pitching coaches like to use. And with very little effort, he generates a lot of velocity.
1-2. And a base hit with 2 out. Ryan Zimmermann keeps it alive with a 2-out single, his second hit of the game, and that will bring up Adam LaRoche, who homered in this game back in the 5th. LaRoche 1 for 3 with a home run and a walk. Pitchers have worked in this game too. One 1-0 the count to LaRoche. Nationals have 10 hits in this game. 13 for the Cardinals. Ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Now 2-2.
There's some pitchers in the National League that don't throw their fastball 84 miles per hour. Rosenthal's curveball at 84.
Strike 3. Game over. Cardinals even the series. And what a batting display and a fielding display, particularly John Jay, as the Cardinals getting 4 in the 2nd, 2 in the 4th, 4 in the 8th, winning 12-4. And this series is all even in a game apiece. Lance Lynn the winner, Jordan Zimmermann the loser. 4 home runs for the Cardinals as they win it 12-4, as this series will move to Washington for the remainder of the series. And right now, let's check in with David Aldridge.
John, you got to walk us through one of the great catches that anybody has ever seen in a postseason off of Espinosa's ball.
It was a little bit easier to see then when the shadows were gone, but the ball went up and I got a good beat on it, and I just said, make the catch, and I came up with it. So
you're going to hit the wall. I mean, how do you anticipate contact and also being able to hold on to it?
It's one of those, it's a playoffs. You want to make every out count, and all I was thinking, just catch the ball, and I got ready for it. So haven't hit the wall, but I came out okay.
You told me this morning that every playoff game is the most important game of the year. So how did you guys bounce back so quickly from the Game 1 loss?
Well, it's just one of those things, everyone knows how the game of baseball goes. You got to show up every day, and from the minute everyone got to the clubhouse today, everyone's ready to go today. So you can't say enough about the teammates, how everyone bounced back today, and now Game 3 is the biggest game of the year.
All right, John, we'll see you in Washington. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Dick.
All right, David, a bounce-back game for a team that's been doing it for the last 2 years in postseason. The final score, the Cardinals 12, the Nationals 4. Series is all even at 1-1, and happy fans leave Busch Stadium. And right now, let's send it to our Atlanta studios and Matt Weiner.